am a hero!
That's right. I am a hero, and I am you. Which makes you a hero. Welcome to another Chronogo stream. Hope you guys are having a good time today and this week in general. We are in the second full week of January, the second full week of 2026, and I have been absolutely slamming out Cosmonarchy progress, updates galore. We've had a Cosmonarchy tabletop session over on the tabletop channel, very fun stuff there as well. And we got more of everything coming up soon, so I hope you guys are ready for that. First up, we're going to be picking up where we left off in terms of a match between two homies, two people who have been participating in weekend wages for some time now. And I do want to go ahead and give them a shout out. There was a very epic match between Aud64 and Newt that we'll be taking a look at. And we might go ahead and cast a couple other weekend wage matches a little bit later on in the stream, but I think right after that I'm going to be going through some other replays that have been sent to me and recommended to me. Or matches that I've looked at and said, hey, that looks like it's pretty cool, or on a different map than I normally see, or whatever. So with all that said, I hope you guys are excited for today's stream. I see Drawn was in there sounding off the soundboard, and we of course have the Three Crow himself in the chat. And best wishes to all of you. Best wishes to all of you. I will also mention that you can support Cosmonarchy by way of continuing to donate to project development via our Ko-fi page. You can also support us by donating at streamlabs.com/pronogo if you want to pump up the numbers for an upcoming newbie tournament. The pay rate of me running an event for a day is about $100, which is kind of a bargain, but for now, that's what we get. And we are $29 to the good on that already because of some donations that I received during our most recent show match. So if you want to get us closer to that point, then you can go ahead and use the Streamlabs link for it. We will feature Class 4 and Class 3 players only. No Class 2s, no Class 1s. And it will be an interesting time for sure. However, I suppose if some Class 1s are available on the day, we could always do a classic Juggernaut match, but we are expecting that it will be a competitive tournament, a competitive game mode, not something where you're tapping into the other lesser used game mode. So, yeah, every now and then we'll go ahead and do one of those when there's interest, when there's effort, and of course when there are finances for me to take the day off. We got Biddy B and Sausage in the chat as well. Hello, welcome. And now that I have explained to you what is shillable in the modern era, let's get into the game. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Cosmonarchy match. This one is back in Weekend Wage number 10. Back on the 3rd of January, we had some pretty exciting stuff go down. Aud64 and Newt were in that upper bracket meeting after their first round opponents. And we had what I'm told is a very good game. So we're on Demaloon, a map by Jujic. It's a port of Overwatch from the Starcraft 1 era. And Aud64 is our Blood Protoss, going for a gateway in the bottom right. Newt in the top left is our green Terran, but he's anything but a greenhorn. He's been around for quite some time. Actually, technically longer than Aud, if you would believe it. A lot of people think of Aud as like a guy who's been around for a very long time. In a way, I still look at him as a bit of a newcomer. Now, that's despite the fact that he won his inaugural tournament, Acropolis 2, his inaugural heavy competition there, and of course managed to make it all the way to the grand final of Acropolis 3. So clearly he's been around the block, and he's definitely experienced, and he's definitely good. You know, more than a match for Newt, I would say, particularly with the fact that he's moonlighting his Protoss, typically a Terran player, Aud. But we were spared a TVT this time around, and Our workers will meet in the middle for a little bit of a drive-by smoochie before they proceed to the respective corners of their opponents. We got a Dracoden coming for Aoud, and a couple of Fulcrums from Newt. So no surprises there, but we get some little bit of background color on the players. Newt was around for the very first Acropolis, predating Aoud's arrival, and then kind of going off in the wilderness and coming back to us, returning to our fold so that he can do some epic gaming. Aoud just came in and scouted one Fulcrum. Didn't even really look like he scouted deep enough to see the second one. And then immediately pulled the scribe away, thinking, okay, well, I don't want my worker to be written off as a dead one. So he's going to sort of take an alternate route. Pretty solid stuff there as the Dracoden is chasing this Mason. No mines left over on the Vulture, so unlike in StarCraft 1, the mines here are lobotomy mines. They stun targets for 2 seconds, or 3 seconds rather, and then they slow them for an additional 3 after. Now that he's up to 2 Vultures, this is going to be a little bit more problematic. There is indeed even a mine set in this one, but he's actually the first one to fall. So the Scribe also trying to add a little bit of DPS. It takes 3 hits from the Scribe to equal out a Dracoden hit. So, not the best in terms of micro initially, but we are going to see that Scribe fall after all. And an initial trade in favor of our Terran player, it must be said. Dracodens are expensive units. Now look at this one, sauntering all the way over towards the bridge, but he doesn't really want to be doing this necessarily. Now, he is going to combine for some shots onto that Vulture. Down to 2, but 2 more come out. I don't like this position for the Protoss very much, but he is already sort of getting fancy with it. A Scribe moving out to the top right, or perhaps I thought maybe trying to take a hidden natural instead of the default natural that you would expect. Some offensive mines, that could definitely help out, but that Dracoden doesn't live long enough to proc it, so doesn't end up helping Aoud none. Nexus coming. This is not something that you see from Newt's side of it. He's just adding the 3rd Fulcrum, stretching the limits of his early resource allocation. You can support more Fulcrums than that as your economy continues to come online, but you typically want to scale it up a bit faster. But Newt can smell blood in the water. Nexus is a quarter of the way complete, and plenty of action still to come there. We've got Dracoden, Hierophant, just Striders galore. So the Hierophant, unlike the Dracoden, which is, you can think of it as a big fancy stat stick. The Dragoon in StarCraft 1 was pretty similar. The Hierophant has a shorter weapon range, but moves faster. Not as well armored, not as well statted in terms of durability, but when it tags an enemy, it applies a slow effect, and it can stack that tag up enough, not that it increases the scale of the slow, but after 5 hits, which can be done through separate Hierophants or the same, the unit will start attacking slower as well as moving slower. And look at this move out here, though. Before I even further explain, Newt diving onto those Hierophants, recognizing their power. Still one left to target, but this is a lot of Vultures. There is literal kill pressure here, legit kill pressure here. Newt behind it going for the Cyclops, floating some money. Oh yeah, we're going to see the Scribes get pulled for this one. I think Aoud might have been outmaneuvered. His units can't even get through his natural. They're being stunned by all of the mines. Now, Aoud didn't take as many casualties as I actually suspected he would, given the fact that his Scribes were essentially facing all of these Vultures for a really very long time. Okay, well maybe now it's a little bit better focus fire from Newt, has to be said. Way better targeting fire in the middle of that, for sure. And I think with that, I mean, the second Nexus still helps out, but this is a deficit of 9 workers that will not easily be climbed back in, caught back up. We even have a Watchdog over here in the mineral line of Newt. I wonder what that was for. And already rendering the shields useless, null and void for the Hierophant. He will catch it. The Dracoden stack is pretty dangerous, though. Recall earlier that most of the Striders didn't make it back up the ramp. So Aoud has actually banked a pretty sizable army. That's with that he intends to sort of beat Newt's offenses back. But there's so much production here and still a lot of mines that I don't think Aoud can actually make it happen. I mean, he's going to end up hemorrhaging Draconens in the process. That's going to be one dead for sure due to the Cyclops fire. There's still a couple of mines that Newt can fall back to. Oh, that doesn't feel like it was quite intentional there, but Aoud apparently is happy to make lemonade out of the lemons that he gave himself. Yeah, with just a couple of Vultures here. It's not the greatest front line for the Cyclops, but I just feel like there's too much to deal with right now. He is going to be beaten back indeed. What's he got behind this developing? He's still just got the 3 gates working. It looks like maybe the scribe was misclicked towards the 6 o'clock position in the chaos since it's not quite moving in the right direction. Oh no, he's actually on a patrol route with that scribe, expecting there to be a drop. But Newt is doing no such thing. He's got his second town center up. I guess, you know, steady is the way to victory, according to Aoud. He really thinks that this is the way he can do it. Not really focusing down individual targets, though, and those Cyclops are still at large. Just trying to take chip damage and fall back before that secondary explosion can hit. Cyclops applies an area wherever it attacked, and then it will detonate after a few seconds, as long as the Cyclops is still alive. Does deal friendly flyer, though. Newt can't just walk right into it. You can see a star pad in the production tab as well. Man, this bridge is so hard for Aoud to get across, but he's still trying to fight around it. He's still committing to it. Oh, that's a mine hit, though. A mine hit and a half. Feels like something that Newt could have been using a little bit more aggressively in the process. Still so many. Oh goodness. Well, the Hierophant's almost dead. But as this army starts to fall back, there still is that mine reestablished. Really hard for Aoud to break in without any detection. Looks like he's going to eschew any tech progression at this point, and instead go ahead and try to come back, you know, economically. He's already gotten back up to only a 4-worker gap. There was once upon a time where Newt was really damn good at hitting the Mason button, but for whatever reason, he decided to let his foot off the gas this time around. And now, indeed, we do have another base coming for the Protoss. His Dracodon has cleared the initial mine from that ramp. There's 2 more that were set up in the downtime, though, so it has to be respected, and now the Cyclops count is way too high. So I think at this point, you know, that early sortie from Aoud, it's been held. There's no further pressure coming out of the Protoss. We don't even have any scaling of their production. Instead, it's just 3 gateways still with that extra Nexus coming. And Aoud is not producing more gateways. He is, however, catching up in workers. Slowly but surely. We got Shopkeeper Dog, Shambler, and Godwheat in the chats now. What's up? Hope you guys are doing well. I do want to point out, since Godwheat seems confused, as he often is, that this is indeed a match that was already played back on the 3rd of January. I'm just now getting around to casting it. Cyclops drop. We've seen this before. No defenses here. That scribe that was on patrol has been peeled away. Crucible to empower the gateways is a pretty good move. We have the 10 Dracodons. Oh, look at this. He's caught one of them. He can certainly cycle a couple of Dracs over there. Looks like a couple of them have also been caught by a mine. And immediate evacuation from Aoud. No chance at all for the Cyclops to get any kills, but definitely cause some economic disruption. Now they're all grouped up into one base, though. And so instead of working back to the main, he's actually targeted them over at the 3 o'clock, and he sent some Zealots in the direction of that drop. Try to get some of that splash damage working against him. Down goes that Cyclops-filled Trojan immediately taken care of. And oh my god, Aoud has got a Dracodon stuck. It turned into a photon cannon. That's the old meme. Whenever you would get a Dragoon stuck. Now it's a Warden. Double star pad. Is it just for Trojans? He's made another one. One big difference between the Trojan and the StarCraft 1 dropship is that you can unload much faster with the Trojan. It's got the hot drop passive that lets it unload very quickly. No Vespene mining reestablished here in the natural. That economic disruption is also true over here in the main base. But does he even need it at this point? He is just adding 3 more gateways around the Crucible. He is just making Dracodons. And they do okay versus Cyclops, but I do feel like this is going to be a little bit too much. Now, while he's microing that, the drop comes back in, but it was only 2 Cyclops, and they were cleaned up pretty easily by the Dracodon stuck and the single Zealot as well. Looks like maybe 1 Scribe had gone down in that fight. Meanwhile, the Cyclops trying to fight a war on 2 fronts. We've got another drop coming in as well, targeting down the Matrix. It will go down, almost assuredly, but the Scribes evacuate before they can get destroyed. In the meanwhile, we have those Cyclops continuing to drive in. Newt trying to eradicate every last Dracodon. It's not working out for him. He could evacuate if he wanted to. The Trojan doesn't have anything in it, however. It's just going to try to make a beeline for the exit as more gateways are coming. I can't believe Aoud is just... He lost some workers, lost some attention. and is sitting here right now thinking, yeah, I'm just going to make more Dracodons. I'm just going to keep making Dracodons. We finally have that third base coming for Newt. I think he did end up scouting that there was this base up here when he flew in with that Trojan towards the natural. But it was at that weird angle where he wasn't really, oh my, a lot of idle masons in the natural there. Wasn't actually able to fly over, like a change course or whatever. Now we have the Dracodons moving up towards 12 o'clock. They will confirm that that base is going up, and they should be able to stop the Mason from making it as long as there's a little bit of attention paid towards that. But he's busy. He is a busy man, apparently, trying to deal with all of the hostiles. Hey, look at that. Friendly fire will help take out the secondary Mason. Died around the same time as the first. Some replacement. There's some more units coming up here, though. Matadors are on the way with the scrapyard tech on the lock, but we've got some zealots. Not exactly new tech to Aoud, but certainly something that he's making a little bit more frequently of, and I love how much better they're doing versus the Cyclops. Hold on. Well, the Dracodons are kind of getting cleared in a few other places, to be fair. And it does feel like the friendly splash damage is helping out a little bit more than Newt would like it to. But even so, he's got Matadors out. He's got a superior economy still. Well, worker count. Crucially, he does not have a superior economy. He needs to secure 12 o'clock first. 7 Matadors a pop. Man, it's really making a lot of Matadors. And I do think Matador Cyclops has some legs to it. Some value there. Adding more and more of the worker production, however. Aoud continuing to churn out workers. Continuing to churn out Dracodons. Nobody's going to be surprised about that. You can see the Matadors kind of trying to shark away, but Aoud just keeps cycling backwards, making the Cyclops hit themselves, making the Cyclops hit each other, their allies. It's very, very difficult for the Terran army to chase the Striders, but he has been able to navigate his way towards the 3 o'clock position. He can keep a couple of these units off to the side, and he has 4 Trojans all filled with Matadors. Well, there are some Matadors in those Trojans, not every one of them. Only 2 of them have any cargo, but you know, it's about sending a message, and the message is received. Not a single worker is staying alive. But the 2 Dracodons over here that spotted that out have immediately sent Aoud into a defensive posture. He concedes the 3rd base. He has a scribe up here in top right. He also has one at 9 o'clock that could move to the bottom left. Let's see, the Dracodons are coming in here. Is he going to get the unloads off? He gets every single Matador out. And it looks like 1 Trojan will live to tell the tale. But that was really important that he interrupted all of those Matadors from getting into the mineral line, albeit not very many units were there. Now the attack force from the 3 o'clock position coming into the natural. Matadors rending the armor with their fire. Also doing a small amount of damage over time, which delays flash shielding. Pretty big versus Protoss, actually. And the Anseal, which has that protective shield aura around it that intercepts projectiles, comes in a little bit too late to be particularly helpful to that squad. Reinforcements trying to get over the bridge. Tall task in Starcraft 1's pathing. Cyclops continuing to hit those Dracodons and forcing that little blob off to the side. The Anseal is pretty much wrapped up here, but the Cyclops going after all of those scribes, that could be huge. Newt now has more than double the workers of his opponent, and humongous lobotomy mines slow down the Dracodons from cleaning everything up anyway. The Mason will win this head-to-head fight in the top right, boxing for dominance here on Demaloon. Kapow. And it looks like the extra bases are going to be needed to take in here ASAP by Aoud, but the scribes are being slowed down. We've got another set of drops coming in. I'm not quite able to unload right in his face, so that's pretty good catch, actually. It's not bad. A ministry in the top right. Scribe still hasn't made it over to the 9 o'clock position or the 3 o'clock position. I guess it's here at 9, but nothing happening there. Anchor's adding. Aoud thinks it's his time to move across the map, and I suppose that'll get some pressure off his back. Newt has been caught in a transition. Added a Palladium. Bunch of Phalanx is on the way. Key difference between them and siege tanks from StarCraft 1 is when they deploy, they lose their armor. So it doesn't matter too much for the Dracodon, which is going to deal some high initial damage on their basic strike, but matters a little bit more for light attacks. And, you know, honestly, big cancel there in the top right. Dracodons deal 15 damage, but they don't have any armor pens, so you are reducing it to by almost a third when you're in tank mode. And of course, their phalanx shot does have a mortar, so that helps out as well. It's a little bit of a different move. Oh, some nice little stuns there at the very end. That's Newt's favorite thing to do, by the way. He loves stunning the workers. Jumping onto these phalanxes, trying to kick him back. Aoud has a pretty big Strider force. I don't know that the Hierophants will be too helpful in this situation. The phalanxes are a little bit too split to do much, though. This is actually really efficient clears, all things considered. Aoud has an army that's not really supposed to be very good into phalanx, and the fact that he was able to catch them before they could set up, really, really important there. But a couple more of the mortars are going to find their homes inside Protoss shells. Again, he's just going to decide to move over here, and Newt's a little bit sloppy on trying to plug that ramp. He's got reinforcements coming in. Antseal's continuing to shield the Cyclops blob, and I think maybe Aoud is actually committed a little bit too much. He will end up losing this army. He's killed a couple of phalanxes. He's barely done any economic damage. And yeah, he might have reset some of the Cyclops count, but that's the level of efficiency that you expect to see out of phalanx armies, as opposed to what we saw closer to that inner 12 position. Top right never actually got set up there. The big cancel from Aoud. He sets up his own third base again and is back to mining. Draconans are going to come in and start heckling this position. Makes it pretty hard to handle. A couple of Zealots will add a couple of friendly fire shots over here. The Antseal's swerving back in to try to absorb some of that pressure, but Zealots are killing Antseals through the Cyclops splash. You've seen it all. When Terrans ask for Terran nerfs, this is what they're thinking of. Alright, this should be a better fight for the Terran player. He's got his phalanxes in the right spot, and the Draconans are getting shellacked as a result, but they can still maybe try to circle around and pressure. This high ground here, salvoing the Ministry. When you're on high ground and your enemy's on low ground, you get extra weapon range shooting at them, so it can be pretty impactful there. Still, the splattering will continue until the composition improves, and Aoud, his idea of improving the composition is to add some Zealots. He's got 1,000 gas! I don't know what he wants to use it on, but surely it's going to be something. His gateway count hasn't really swollen up ever since the Crucible was put down, as he once again finds himself sortying around the bridge. He's got some Zealots and some Draconans coming in here. There's nothing in that anchor, and the Cyclops are going to deal some friendly splash damage to those Masons, which is exactly what Aoud is hoping for. He's also attempting to once again pressure this inner 12 base, but that's ironically where most of the defenses are. We are up to 9 gateways, by the way, but definitely could use some more. If he can get another Nexus up, anyway. I still can't believe he's got 3 Drax stuck in his 3 gates. Protosses will eventually learn better building positioning, I promise. Aoud doesn't count. He's not a main Protoss. He's a Terran player. A Terran player who knows to make Draconans, that's for sure. Really continuing to pressure things out. And, yeah, absorbing this attack from Newt pretty easily. I think Newt was hoping that the Drax were out on the map and he'd get access to the natural, which, by the way, is pretty close to depleting. Main base just about run dry. It's this base you want to target if you're in Newt's shoes. Top right being taken. You can see every single base being canvassed here, checking all of them. 9 o'clock has still not been liberated from the 1 Drac, 1 Scribe. And Aoud has 40 worker deficit here, especially as Newt continues to get a couple of drops off here and there. I think he's correctly realized that the 3 o'clock position is a good spot to be at. Matrix will help out a little bit here, but I think some of these scribes are a little bit too wounded, and yeah, he is going to be dropping down below half the workers of his opponent. Down the Trojan will go. Reinforcements scrambling everywhere, but I don't know that they're ever going to be able to break this position at inner 12. That being said, Aoud, I've been counting him. I've been waiting for him to die. I've been waiting for him to say GG. He's got 2,000 Vespene gas. He's just really heavily committed into gateways. He's got no spare minerals anywhere. Man definitely needs top right. Man definitely needs 6 o'clock. But Newt hasn't really been leveraging the situation himself either, right? We don't have a Stockade Vestry for Shaman. We don't have, you know, a buttload of star pads for something else like Wraiths or what have you. I mean, versus Draconans, it's pretty hard to try to take the fight to them. But you could at least try to come in, pressure, kill stuff. Better than the drop scan, since wraiths are cloaked until they get too close to an enemy. And Newt likes wraiths, but he doesn't like wraiths enough to use them here. Now he's going to end up losing 12 o'clock. This sort of tempo play. I mean, Ayud shouldn't have been allowed to position over here. You can put Phalanxes up here and just kind of shellac them on the way up. Newt not using the positional there. Tier 2 is almost complete, however. He has gotten the Atlas done. So, at the very least, there is that, but that's another base gone for Newt. 12 o'clock completely eliminated. A pylon here to block the 9 o'clock, and it's just as Newt arrives to finally take it. It won't slow his opponent down for long, but Ayud is just trying to be as maximally annoying as possible. Which, by the way, as Phalanxes rotate over from inner 12, the Draconans are going to need to get the hell out of dodge. This is going to be a flattening of them. The Ancial's protecting that Phalanx at 5 HP. It continues to send out shot after shot. We've got more units moving over towards 9 so that Newt can stabilize and set stuff up. The Masons are just kind of moving back and forth. Zealots! The Zealots are beautiful here. There's no Matadors in position to kind of absorb this attack and I guess there are some Vultures, but they're right on top of the Phalanx. Not exactly where you'd want them to be. No lobotomy mines to instantly hit some of that stuff. We've got Draconans from all shots, all sides. I don't think they can break through the Phalanx count, especially with all the Ancials hovering over, shielding them. But it's looking pretty intimidating here. If you're on Newt's side, I don't know if you think that you have the advantage anymore. Setting up 9 o'clock will be a big deal. He's going to go back up to 4 bases. He's actually airlifted the inner 12. Oh, no. He also airlifted his natural. Oh. Oh, dear. Oh, that was not intentional. Okay, now we understand. He's setting up anchors at 9 o'clock. He's got Masons at 12 that still need some freeing from a Zealot. Top right, easy to shut down. I feel like, honestly, 3 o'clock easy to shut down. But once again, Newt is going after these main base targets. These are not economic targets. This is a depleted base with limited workers. You can say the same about the natural, though it's a little bit more well-stocked. A lot more workers could be set up here at the undefended 3 o'clock position. We do have some Matrix and Warden static defense structures warping in. We do have a single captaincy coming for Newt, but he needs more than that. 1,200 Vespene in his name. Where are his stockade add-ons? Where is his tech? Where is it, guys? More Ancials. He's got a lot of Ancials. I guess I can't really say more Ancials. Minefields have been set up over here to slow this down. And he's got more units where that came from. He can try to consolidate defenses around 9 o'clock and maybe see if he can delay that death while he shuts down 3. 3 o'clock is way more important. Remember, Newt still has inner 12 mining. Top right is not set up for Ayud. If 3 o'clock goes down, which it seems like it very likely will, this will be a very, very killer move that Ayud is going to have to sustain. And look at this. The Striders are split into 2 different positions. 9 o'clock can still be saved. It just needs some units sent its way. Phalanx is deploying. They'll cut down the Nexus. And as it explodes over there at 3 o'clock, well, a lot of the Masons have died at 9. But again, inner 12 still mining, still sitting pretty. No worries there. Top right has 10 workers. It's not contributing as much as the counter base was. Maybe the Ancials can try to shield that Ministry. It looks like it might end up going down. Let's see how easy the cleanup is. He's really focusing on it, knowing that it's red. It looks like it will be saved. Well, this is quite the entertaining match, that's for sure. Oh, dear. Oh, no. Okay, never mind. I thought they were all grouped up or something. Never mind. Reinforcements coming in. Clean up these Phalanxes. They'll still be killing a couple of workers in the process. The Ancials are flying over the wrong targets. You're not supposed to shield your enemies. In fact, by gameplay rules, you can't shield your enemies. All right. Inner 12 has been targeted for termination. Ayud is going to run over there ASAP. He knows that his army backed all the way up to this bottom right or bottom left area of the 9 o'clock base just to slow things down, just to stall things out. And now he's got the prime position to see if he can eliminate this Ministry. Fight back economically. It's a battle of who can float the most gas, and right now Ayud is winning. Still just rotating around, pulling the army completely out of position over time. He's resetting 3 o'clock very quickly. He's continuing to slowly build up workers at 12, or at top right. 12 o'clock has a treasury, and a ministry just floated over there. It was the repaired one from 9 o'clock, I believe. And now some Striders are coming over here to clean up those. He's trying to go ahead and deal with this attack at 12 o'clock. I don't think he's going to be very successful. The Phalanxes are not deployed. They're gonna... Yeah, he's losing the treasury for sure. The ministry was just floated back over to 9 o'clock, and now it needs to go back to 12. I can't believe what I'm seeing, because I really don't think this army is going to quite work out. I mean, well, Ayud's losing a lot of his Striders. They are starting to pop. He kills a lot of Anseals. But now he's got a bunch of Dracodons attacking the inner 12. 9 o'clock will be reset. We got more units coming in from there. Oh, no, not that! Oh, oh, the friendly fire. Friendly fire isn't. Speaking of, dude, how many times do you have to grab your own petard just to be hoisted by it? He's made one madcap this whole game. Not a single extra captaincy, and not more than a single extra, you know, tier 2 unit. Top right still mining. Well, there's not great mining coverage, actually, in these satellite bases for Ayud. Still tight on the mineral income. These Trojans never got activated. Newt's forgotten about them. And it would have been a poor choice to target the main base anyway. Got 3 Striders here and 3 stuck in the captaincy, or the Crucible. Phew! Bunch of Phalanxes in the middle. Getting caught by the Dracodons. We got more gateway units pumping out. Just 6 Dracodons in the production tab, that's it. Zealots are coming in small numbers. Now he's got to airlift 9 o'clock again. He has reset 12, but not started mining it. In fact, I think he's going to start mining it just as Ayud rocks up onto the base. And surely this is like the point where you're like, oh man. 3,000 Vespene. They have both crossed the 3,000 Vespene line. And there was 1 Phalanx on the low ground still defending. I don't know, man. This is looking pretty dire. The friendly splash. The Dracodon's getting right on top of all the Masons saying, yeah, I dare you to shoot us. I dare you. The Phalanxes arrive just to see that this base has actually been set up. I don't know if that's where the Phalanxes needed to be. The Striders are coming in to reinforce. We got the Natural being pressed in upon as Vultures just came out of the rally point. They didn't have time to lay mines. He lifts another ministry off from 12 o'clock, and he's trying to go back to 9 when he already had one set up at the Natural that he could have slent over at any point. Newt has lost control of the game. Ayud is on the precipice of breaking him. This just Cyclops. He got Zealots in the mineral line. No! No, there's 25 Masons! Oh, there were 25 Masons. And the Striders rocking up at inner 12. We got more units coming in. Masons are being shot everywhere you look. How has Ayud done that? How has Ayud done that? GG. Wow. 30 minutes of pure Dracodon Zealot. There were a couple of Hierophants, and he made an Ecclesiast by mistake. But that is Ayud. Really snatching victory from the jaws of defeat there. Whew. I can't believe it. Good game. Good game. Oh, man. See, we had some people join us in the chat. Vilius, Alexander, Trumbecca. How y'all doing? That game really did just throw me for a loop, if I'm honest. I'm very surprised about that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and ignore. I'm going to go ahead and ignore what you just said. Oh God, I will never do that. I don't think I can sue them exactly. I haven't established any IP rights for Cosmonarchy. I mean, it is my intellectual property, but I don't have a legal resource to it. It's more like an ethical thing. If I could, I'm assuming it's a for-profit enterprise that they would do, and so yes, that would be why. The fact that it is anime wouldn't really have anything to do with it. We have casted that successfully. I think we have a PVZ here between Nablime and Jack Yelansky, so I'm looking forward to that. Might even be on the new version of Acid Text. All right, perfect. I think I have to time Shambler out. Okay. No, you're not. You're dark green, dude. Actually, I think that's forest green. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Cosmonarchy cast. We've got Nablime in the bottom right as our forest green Protoss, and Jack Yelansky is in the top right, and he is colorblind. He is, I'm going to say Maya Blue. Maya Blue Zerg. Look at that. He will be going for what appears to be a Larvosk first year, and we are on acid tests. Interesting. Interesting. Jack Yelansky is not a fan of red. So these two are longtime homies, as they do share a time zone region. Whatever you want to call that. And I do think that they've got lots of games against each other, and Nablime still wins the majority, apparently, but Jack has taken a game before. Jack has definitely taken a game before. A number of them, in fact. It will be a simulacrum open into Rogue Gallery for Nablime. He's really mathed out a build over here. He's busy typing about oil instead of killing the scribe with his Rillarokors, so that's a bit of a goober move. Let's see if he can handle what I assume will be a Kabbalist open here as the simulacrum trudges along the lower ranks of the map. I want to take this moment to say hello to everybody and hope everybody's having a good day. These two players always produce good games, so buckle up and hope you enjoy. We've got lots of Cosmonarchy planned, lots of Cosmonarchy action, content, single-player stuff, co-op stuff, improvements to the game, updates to the Escozi, the new race that is not featured here but is pretty epic, and all sorts of cool stuff, man. All sorts of cool stuff. So, thanks for supporting the project. It's actually a Vagrant first? Interesting. So he went one sim into many idols with the Vagrants coming out. An Ovaleth is on the way for Jack, so this might be a little bit of like a delayed Kabbalist. And Nablime is instead building stuff that will be better in a direct fight. Maybe just try to overwhelm Jack and see what he can do. Second Larvosk is coming up here, and straight into Vornath on the one base here for Jack Yelansky, while the Scribe Scout from Neblime continues to observe when the attempted expansion comes. Makes sense to test a few different follow-ups here in the perspective of Neblime. He wants to make sure that he understands everything. I do feel like overall, with the Scribe coming across for the expansion of Neblime's own economy, is a pretty good spot for him to be in. However, he might have just done that for show, since he did see that the Zets were leaving the building when they popped out. He had that minimap vision from the Scribe. Shroud on the way as well for Sir Jack. He clearly wants to go for a pretty teched out open here. He's also got this defensive Circuit here for both anti-drop and I guess also anti-Kabbalist. Oh, it's a Spraith instead. Maybe just cognizant of the Vassal. And indeed, a Vassal is coming. I have a feeling these two played some games against each other before. Still no expansion for the Zerg makes me a little bit nervous. I don't think you can really actuate your extra tech nodes. You know, he's making all 3 basic tech nodes, and he's already evolved the pool. And yet no expansion, and I guess on the one hand, his army's pretty small, so he's got a pretty good economy relative to the position you're typically in for Zerg. You know, typically you've got a bigger army, but like 14 workers, 15 workers. So that could be contributing to the decision-making for Jack here. Yeah, immediate devastation of the Vassal. I guess with the Rogue Gallery, you can also go Barghest, and Barghest Vassal's pretty good at popping buildings. Instant pylon block, but there's some Zets here to clean this up, so he's going to have to cancel that pretty quickly. And there's the hatch coming on down for that expansion. So we do have a Bulwark set up here, very defensive open from Neblime. Not exactly bringing the pressure here. And we already have some Lakes out. So I actually think Neblime's in a pretty good spot. He's got a better economy, he's got a faster expansion timing, and he's also scouted the Shroud with that Vassal, scouted the fact that there's a den, knows that there's likely going to be Lakes, so he can go for his Witness, which is what the Embassy is for, so he can detect. Lakes, of course, being the Lurker equivalent, allows for Burrow. Bulwark provides static detection as well as the shield restore every 2 seconds. So I say all of this to mean that Neblime's kind of operating on a, I need to get my, more powerful production structures up later on once I get a better economy. That's his vibe. That's his goal here. And Jack has been expecting pressure, but that's delayed his economy. That's delayed a few other aspects of his build. Maybe at the same time, he wasn't expecting too much pressure. I mean, his army size was really small. So I can see how the Zerg here could just flip the script, Pretty easy for the Zerg, in fact, to change up their approach entirely. Now, there's the Prostration stage. That's going to be the heavy hitter for Neblime. We have these Nathrakors parked over here. Something that I haven't seen in a while is that Zeki was fully upgrading the pool and then turning that into a 2 Calculus push. And they're actually going to get caught out by the idols. Oh, but at the same time, the Witness just flies in and dies, kind of blinding both players there in terms of what is available for their opponent. So Neblime was like, I'm really cool. And then he just suicides the Witness. Not great, but he does at least relieve any potential for that Nathrakor timing without a reinvestment into it. And it's 50 Vespian. It's not nothing there for the Naths, but another pair has been made, so Jack is still going to commit to the potential. He's actually got a number of them. Still no Calcure Lake, though, so all he can do is make the Naths in general. And it looks like a third base is coming up at the 2 o'clock position. Neblime appears to be moving out, but I'm not quite sure if it's to try to step on this base. I guess so. So this is an update to Acid Test that features the high ground over here for the 3 o'clock position. Top left is also being body blocked by a pylon. Pretty crafty there for Neblime, because he's going to slow things down, and he's going to get right up on top of this position here. And since there are no Calculusks, in fact, this is going to be a pretty hard position for the ground army of Jack Yelansky to deal with. He did not bring his Lakes. So this is just going to have to be canceled. There's no way to save this right now. There's the Lakes, but first one dies immediately. Second one, easy pickings as well. Yeah, all of them just go down without really much of a fight. The Ovoleth didn't come with to deal with the Witness. And so Jack just... I think Jack just kind of got annihilated, to be honest. I'm not going to mince words. That was pretty bad. And his hatch will likely end up needing to be canceled anyway. Still hasn't been able to set up a proper one over here. Doesn't even cancel the hatch. I know he's got a lot of minerals in the bank, but these are some pretty serious unforced errors. Or I guess you could argue that Nablime has been forcing them. I guess if he didn't body block with that scribe at the 11 o'clock position. Oh my god, no! Oh, you shouldn't have killed that, Nablime. That was giving you a lot of free sims. Finally, the pylon goes down. Jack can try to reset another hatch, and indeed will. You don't really want to clump up all your Hydras here. The Witness is providing excellent vision, though. Zoryu's coming in. They're a pretty important part of this. Yeah, that's a lot of Hydras that went down for free, huh? 6 Hydras lost. He made 11 earlier, and he already only had like 3 or so. So not really leaving himself with a lot. Meanwhile, 4 o'clock being taken by Nablime. Pariah is going to be pretty important here. So every time the Pariah... first of all, it deals splash damage in a line, right? But also, units that it kills or tags with damage will be consumed, their corpses will be consumed to increase attack speed for everything else. Now, this is going to obviously skyrocket the DPS of the army that Nablime has, but counterpoint is that the Hydras mixed with the Rillarrow cores that apply the corrosive touch, which reduce armor, they're going to chew through the Pariah eventually. And this was a back against the wall kind of position for the Protoss army, and they will end up going down without too much to show for themselves. Kill a lot of Zephyr cores, but they don't actually kill any workers, as none were here at the base mining. These Sims still bodyguarding the 2 o'clock position. They'll be cleaned up pretty easily. And what do we have behind that? Well, Nebon doesn't actually have the biggest army. He's adding more Pariahs where possible. More Rogue Galleries. I suppose he wants to use Vagrants as his main force here. He's just being as annoying as he can be with this position, but it will be taken by Jack after all. 18 Drollets on the way as well, and we got 5 Lakes being tailed by a Witness. So 11 o'clock will be taken care of pretty easily, and these Lakes are going to get caught out. And, you know, it's not going to take much more for one of them to go down. And there's that attack speed buff. It's pretty short-lived, so by the time they get much closer, it should be taken care of. Another update to the map removed the body blockers over here, the temples that were blocking those ramps. So maybe that side of the map will see a little bit more utility. And these ridges got added here. I was going to say geysers, but they're all ridges. Random pylon blocking the 10 o'clock spawn. Or base. No reason to worry about that right now. Oh boy, trying to camp that front. There's a lot of Pariahs with this army. But honestly, this army is mostly Pariah. And that does have a cap to how useful it can be. As that is really the only source of splash damage that Nablime has. He's still trying to make it work, but I feel like committing here was a pretty big mistake. He does kill a lot of Hydras, but the Zerg can replenish those pretty easily when they're not actively making workers. Nablime does have a 20-worker lead with 3 very well-saturated mining bases, but Jack is just going to go ahead and expand, get up to a 5th base. His 4th is done and ready to be saturated when he decides to make workers. And he's got Zoryus out for the continual armor rents, although only one of them does remain. So, problem is, there was not going to be too many more Pariahs where that came from. Wow. All right. I think Jack is looking at like he's in a really good position to kill this army. Falls back to the Lakes, which will deal enough damage to clear the position and deal with the Pariahs. He's only got a couple of Sycophants and a couple of Vagrants here left. Falling back down to a better defended position. The Lake is just kind of walking in by mistake. Oh, I guess maybe Jack intended for it, but he doesn't have a lot of their DPS, you know, so he does need to respect that, and he's going to see what's up over here, but there's a lot of static defense in this position as well. I think the Zerg can be pretty confident in the long game here. More Pariahs have arrived. Yeah, I don't think you really want to test this army with what the Zerg has right now. We got the Ulgorg coming. A single Pariah has come over here and just caused a little bit of a flummoxing of the attempt to expand. That's a nice little setup there. You can see, oh, baby! Nablime showing us how it works. But the Hydras will eventually bring this down. Well, not if they're clumped up like that, though. Yeah. pretty ridiculous. Now, 2 more pariahs are moving up over here. They're going to force another cancel at the, we'll call it the 10 o'clock. That's what I said earlier about it. Still no real saturation over at 2. And he doesn't have the greatest defense force over here. If 1 pariah did all that, imagine what 2 will do. Oh, defend the workers. No! No! Yeah, he's bringing the whole army over. Whew. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's a lot of dead Zerg, that's for sure. Not so many workers ended up going down, and Jack now does have, you know, all of his workers moving over to saturate that 2 o'clock base. And the 10 o'clock will get done, actually. It will get finished. But that bought a lot of time for Nebline to stabilize, and look at what he's making. Ancestral Archives going up to tier 4. Archons, Patriarchs, Uptectons. And now we even have the 7 o'clock, we'll call it, base being taken. Very nice. Now, it's a little bit of time here before the defenses can get up, but that's what the army is for. And Nebline is very quick to build a lot of static defense structures and use that as an opportunity to defend. Now, we got a bunch of Ultra Cores coming out. The Pariahs can go toe-to-toe with them if given the opportunity. The Lakers are going to be the problem here, as there's not really much of an easy answer to get through. No Hierophants to tag the Ultra Cores to reduce their attack speed either, by the way. So that initial trade does go the way of Jack Yelansky, and now he's immediately moving on that 4 o'clock base. The Ultra Cores are going to be able to deal with a lot of the static defense DPS, and the Lakers are just going to chew through everything else. This might have been exactly what Jack needed to get back a little bit more control to the game. You can see the Scribes desperately trying to find a way to be useful in the combat. The Witnesses crawling over the army, and over on this side, some of these Pariahs are going down, man. I don't think any Scribe is going to escape that base. Nexus itself might be saved at the end as the Ultra Cores went over to try to help deal with the Pariahs. We got more Hydras where that came from as well. Not so many reinforcements coming down, actually, for the Zerg player. And no Lakers to deal with all the Vagrants. So while they're busy trying to deal with that, the Pariahs are wreaking havoc on them. Outrageous amounts of DPS. And yes, indeed. The Scribes have basically been killed. We even got one guy stuck here. You can effectively call that a kill. And Jack has a worker lead, albeit a slight one for this stage in the game. But it's pretty scary when the Zerg has a worker lead. Single Patriarch has arrived. That will slow things down. That does apply the slow for the Ultra Core to deal with. More than being made, but right in the middle of the map, underneath the watchful eyes of Neblim's Central Witness. Got more Lakers coming as well. Definitely a good choice. Honestly, I wouldn't hate the idea of going up to the Zozark at this point, but Jack has a lot of minerals and not a lot of Vespene. Let's give a quick audit here. No gas cap for the third base. He does have one over here at the 4th at 11 o'clock. Yeah, so he's missing gas caps in a few positions there. I don't think pure Lakers is the way. This is very wasteful from Jack, and he realizes it a little bit too late there. He lost 6 Lakers just sitting there with those. Nobody bold enough to take the high ground base just yet. We are on 4 bases versus 5. Nebline is okay with this position for now, especially since the top left isn't actually mining. And there it is. Tier 2 on the way for Jack. He does not want to go to Zozark or even Tethfith. He will just continue it out on his current tech. Meanwhile, Nebline, he's getting up an army that includes the tier 4 units like the Patriarch and the Archon. Ooh, that was a brutal little cross-section of Pariah damage. Even still, though, the Lakers are trying to do a little bit of DPS. The Pariahs falling down a little bit. This army needs to sync up with itself. It's kind of out of sync. Let's see, the Lakers push forward. Hey. A lot of splash damage. The lake is not really being split. Zoryus by themselves are not going to be enough. We need some more damage. I don't think Jack should have been out across the map while he's also teching, but he is going to commit to it, and the Archon will go down. That's a Psy Storm released from the Archon's death. And we'll claim a few victims in the process. Even still, Patriarchs are staying alive. These are really the big ones. We got a Charlatan in, or a few Charlatans in, actually. Wow, talk about a lot of extra damage. Every time the Charlatan hits a unit, they will be they start to hallucinate, and that means that any hallucinated targets will take will get extra projectiles created to target them when they get attacked for half damage. So pretty big DPS increase, and also adds the stacking behavior of the Patriarch, and, you know, the Archons are able to get some more damage. No victim. There's definitely a victim. Yeah, Jack knows. And you know that with the Archons, they are able to hold off a lot of punishment. We got more units coming in, but that was the remax from Jack. That was all he had. His tier 2 is now being set up. And the Archon stays alive. The Patriarch's keeping it healthy with their passive. Well, at least phase 1 of the... that's the old passive, so never mind what I'm saying. The Archon's just that good. I was like, how is the Archon staying alive that long? Well, we know now. We got the Gosvaleth, we got the Agroleth. Yeah, call that composition Patriarchon. Looks like this was an attempt to take 3 o'clock. 9 has been claimed by Jack. Again, the mining is pretty underwhelming here over at 10. Pretty good setup over here at the 4 o'clock and 2 o'clock for both players. But, yeah, only now we see those gas nodes being taken. All right. He goes for the Tozvril Haunt. I'm guessing he's going to want some Sovraleths. Do we have Oxels? We actually only have the 1 Oxel Cesian. He needs more. Not enough Vespian right now. That's what the Excisants are for. Yeah, when you gas cap, you are... Oh, my God. The Witness is watching all of these Droleths spin out because, you know, Jack never corrected the pathing for this. So, Neblime is aware. Jack is not. Oh, Neblime. Oh, Neblime, you cheeky son of a bitch. I love you. Look at that. Now, if the pylons go down, yeah, he's going to have to cancel these, but I really appreciate that he did it in the first place. Now, with his army, he's actually not going to cancel it, and this is deliberate, because his army is getting in a position to try to punish. He's hoping to see if he can maybe do something along the lines of an interception. There was a Convolsc made and killed, so that's really good, because that's a very gas-intensive unit, and right now Jack is still in a state of tech transition. But it does also reveal to Neblime that Tier 2 is here. Pariahs are going to try to get everything they can done. Oh, between the Charlatans and the Patriarchs, you can't step to this army, man. You cannot step to this army. Splash damage is in effect. So Vilgaleths arrive, but they just convert corpses nearby into Rillorokors. And oh no, the Matroleths are being heckled. Oh, they're trying to help out when they can, but they're just getting splashed to death by Archons and Pariahs. And for that matter, Patriarchs. Look at how many of them are. I like the idea of the Convolsc, but I think it's just a little bit too late. Neblime's been allowed to achieve his endgame composition, if you want to call it that. He's even set up bottom left. 8 o'clock is his. 7 o'clock, of course, long time ago. And now 3. Woo, baby. This is a true split map situation, but we already have Neblime crossing enemy lines. Sovraleths are being made. The ace in the hole, 22 Zorius, is outrageous. No, Jack! Oh, the Sovraleths, they all stacked up before they could consume any corpses. There was nothing for them to eat to convert into more Sovraleths. Meanwhile, 9 o'clock is all she wrote there. And I don't think this army is ever going to go down. Not enough DPS. I appreciate the idea of spotting in what they can, but there is not enough DPS to break that army. It's glorious, and 9 o'clock will belong to Neblime now. When he starts to add lattices, it's because he wants more golems. He's adding golems for late game production, just spamming out Patriarchs. What a shot. What an end game. But Neblime has done it. A banger of a match. The larva even providing a little bit of vision, showing the Protoss imperiously marching. And only now will Jack actually see that all of these Droleths are still here. Does he correct it? No, of course not. No! No! Jack! Oh! All of the Sobrelets going up in smoke. And that, to me, spells doom for the Zerg. Navlime will take the game. I can't say I am surprised, but what a game. That was a banger. That was a banger. Banger status achieved, boys. GG. All right. That was pretty cool. I don't even know why I have this game selected. Let's see. I think I do actually know why I have this game selected. This next one. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's do it. Hello, hello, everybody out there on the internet. Welcome to Cosmonarchy Casts. Pronogo Casts Cosmonarchy. Something like that. We've got an exciting matchup here because we are on a map that we don't see very often. And we are seeing Shopkeeper Dog, Terran Extraordinaire. Many called him the Terran. And he is playing as a Scozy in the bottom right of Air Gap, which is a map by Cannoli, and Cannoli is our other player in the top left, our Zerg. He is Pumpkin, because he's always Pumpkin, while Shopkeeper Dog appears to be an Alice Blue, but he was actually Glacial. Pretty similar color, but that's all right. We see him opening function here with a little bit of team building. Very interesting choice. And that is indeed what the Escozi are all about, is they are able to team build, to assist each other. They've got unit behaviors and active abilities that allow them to synergize with each other. And it looks like Shopdog was just team building for a little bit, and then, he makes the second function. Interesting, interesting. Now, Shopdog is a spreadsheets guy. He's a guy who's all about efficiency perceived, or efficiency actual versus vibes. And so he doesn't really care too much about what feels good. He cares cares a lot about what is good, objectively. Now, does that mean he's objectively the best player in Cosmonarchy? Well, I'll let you decide. He's playing Escozi, so that's pretty cool. By the way, Escozi are available for selection in the next weekend wage, which is, as of the time of recording, this weekend, the 17th of January. So if you want to participate fighting as or against, or both, Escozi, you may sign up. It is open to anyone in our Discord server. Link in the description. You also find links to support project development, including ways to raise money for a newbie tournament, which we're currently raising money for. That's streamlabs.com/pronogo for that one. Or if you just want to support the project overall, maybe commission a couple of factional units or something like that, feel free to check out our coffee page and all of its services. That's ko-fi.com/pronogo and Week7. We appreciate your support. Now, the landlock is coming, so there will be an expansion behind this 2-rove attack. And interestingly enough, the roves don't really have to stutter too much on their production. So, meanwhile, Cannoli's preemptively been building Quaz, and just going to go ahead and get his second Larbosk. He's playing very defensive, pretty low worker count so far, and he's now switching into more Droleth production, knowing that the roves are a possibility. He's also got a circuit at the front. So, the way that the rove works is that when they take damage, they will begin to regenerate a little bit of life. And this is also, this must have been back in the patch before Rove jumping became like a group target thing. But when you jump with the Rove, you get access to a bit of a heal as well. So basically you proc the same passive that applies when they take damage. So they will heal from when they're initially taking damage, and it's pretty good at doing some general stuff, like giving you access to what you need for a little bit of healing here and there. Extra functions, it's going to be the Rove mono comp here for Shopdog. Listen, I make no bones about it. I did not watch this replay beforehand. I have no idea if it looks good, if it paints the race in a particularly good-looking light. we might just see Shopkeeper Dog make only roves. That might be what we see here. I just want to prepare you for that. It is a possibility. But there's some cool ideas in the race, and I dig it. I'm looking forward to developing it further. And we do need to replace every graphic that you see for the Escozy. Every single one of them needs to be, changed in some way. So please keep that in mind. But we have some graphics from Five Nations, from Impact of Power, from Outlive, from Aatrox. So there's a bunch of different sources that we've pulled from for this. The Five Nations guys are super nice. They do have a Steam game out there if you want to play RTS in space. And they did just straight up give me permission, not just for Cosmonarchy, which is great. We have to get that kind of permission anyway, right? But he also said if I ever want, Twardan is the lead developer, he said if I want to use them as graphics in my own game that I sell for money on Steam, that I can. So very swell guy, appreciate him. And of course, shout out Five Nations on Steam. Still just kind of sharking around here with the roves, seeing what's going on. Doesn't actually scout that the Quas drop is in effect. However, he might end up spotting it just in general. And the Rove can attack air, so it's something that you got to watch out for, but it doesn't look like he'll be able to quite run it down. Now, listen, if he had a unit on the one side, he could have teleported everybody else there because the Rove has the ability to jump to an ally. Just saying. Just saying, man. Now, the gauntlet has been made, so clearly some other units are intended here. The Intendant is unlocked by the gauntlet from the function. Shoos away the Ovaleth on its initial approach. And it looks like now the Hydras are moving in, including an Iziracore. He's got to watch out, though. That's just going to proc the impact dissipation a little bit. Here come the Quas drop. Initially targeting down the Rogue. Not necessarily the best choice, in my opinion. Oh, he didn't kill a single one. Not a single Pilgrim. Oh, no, he did. One Pilgrim did go down. Not great, considering he also loses the Ovaleth in the process. But all of the units fall back. That releases a little bit of pressure. Cannoli's able to expand. I have heard that Zerg has it hard versus Escozy. I've heard that the Escozy are pretty good at doing early aggression. And the man's got 30 roves. He's got a lot of roves. And he's not slowing down anytime soon. Now, I will also point out, Shopkeeper Dog is a significantly better player than Cannoli, mechanistically, mechanically. Usually slams his macro out and stuff. So I can't really say that it surprises me, this kind of outcome, but I think it'll be all right. I think it'll be all right. Look, he's even got Iziracores here. He's got Hydras turning into Backdulls. Oh, okay, so 2 Cosmoscopes are coming up. We'll talk about those in a moment here as Shopkeeper Dog initially does a little bit of work to attack this Zerg position. Now, the Iziracores in enough number will soak up a lot of damage from the Rove and do a lot of splash damage. But in smaller numbers, they just end up bouncing a little bit and healing them, essentially. You can see Shopdog trying to use that active ability to get a little bit more movement speed, a little bit more healing out of his units, but it is not to be. The Backdulls are out now, and the Roves do not have that much that they can do about it. You can see him trying to get right up on top of them to make it so that those Backdullos bounces don't hit. But it's not going to work out. The Backdullos bounce is conditional on range traveled. If you travel max range or max native range, then you can get a 2 bounces. But if you're on the high ground, you get even more. Your enemy runs away from you and it makes the bullet travel even further, then you can get more bounces than that. And conversely, if they get right up on top of you, you are going to start losing out on that bounce, and your damage will be a lot worse as a result. So that's exactly what Shopkeeper Dog was trying to do there, but it was to no effect here. A lot of minerals for both players, it must be said. And there it is. The Cosmoscopes are up. We've got the Tirades on the way. And in small numbers, Tirades can be dealt with the Nathra Core, which is available as long as you've got your Vornath Pond, your initial pool upgrade, which right now Cannoli does not have. Tirades are even, in small numbers, doable with just a couple of Spraiths. But when you get to a really good number of them, it becomes way harder, in my opinion. And so definitely a unit that will likely see a couple of balance tweaks. There's still some details about its ability that aren't working quite as intended. And so I made it so that, this ability isn't... It's a little bit weaker than it should be, so I'll make them a little bit stronger in general. And so obviously you can see people are still using them pretty good right about now. The Roves are continue angling forward. They're not too happy about the initial look of it, although one Bactylus is being lured out. My Zeracors are going to chase after it. Does he suss out that it wasn't through the middle? Sends a couple of units that direction. Yeah, the roves could just get squished over here. Gotta watch out. There is another ramp off to the side here. Trying to see what he can do. All the Azeracors went up to 12 o'clock. That's not where the roves were at, though. Now the Bactylisks are able to shoot up from the low ground. Yeah, a couple of them go down, but honestly, that was a very cost-efficient trade there for Cannoli. However, we do have 4 Tirades on the way. There's actually nothing over here. This is not a bad situation for Cannoli, believe it or not. Like, he'll lose his hatch if he's not careful. But he actually wants the Tirades to be in this form. And Shopkeeper Dog wants them to die so that they can embed and start shooting at everything. But overall, this actually will be a little bit of an underwhelming shot of the Tirades. And he ends up losing a number of Hydras. It looks like a couple Bactyls. He actually borrowed some of his units. I think that might have been an error, but it does make it so that the Tirades can't do damage to them anymore. And it's just Tirade Rove. That's it for now. He's got a lot more Roves coming with the 6 functions. He's, of course, got a pair of Cosmoscopes we saw earlier, and he's back up to 4 Tirades. And Cannoli hasn't actually spent most of his money or his larva. He's got a lot of larva floating, and he does need a lot more Hydras. He needs to replenish his army before this next attack comes in. The Hydras and the Bactyls are going to be able to deal with the Roves fine, but the Tirades are going to be the problem, as we just saw. They can pack quite a punch. People in chat, I'm roving here. Yeah, that's true. I don't even understand where the I'm walking you a bit came from as far as me saying it specifically. I know Hit 'em Up keeps talking about I should say that. Must be some deep cut. So triple Spraith over here in the natural. We've got quadruple Spraith over here in the main. Clearly an angle against the Tirades. And we've got the Tetzoricors out here. Oh no, the Larvosks are sitting ducks for those. Now the Roves shouldn't actually pack much of a punch, especially as the Tets come out. Let's keep tabs on the positioning of these. The Drollets aren't burrowed. Okay, now they are. Whew, that was close. And no detection was brought in, so all the Roves end up crashing upon the shores. But it does look like, 2 more Tirades came in to assist. Maybe 3 more, actually. And so this army does need to be dealt with. He ends up remorphing the Larvosks that he lost into Spraiths, which is a pretty smart move, actually. Needs to get back to mining here as soon as he can. And there it is, 9 o'clock being taken. Not an island base in this version of Air Gap. It has been updated. Yeah, it looks like the bottom left and the top right are islands. I like Air Gap. I actually think it's a pretty cool map. It's just probably the main issue that I would levy at it, from a spectator perspective at the very least, is that it's a very plain map visually, which might have even been by design, if you ask Cannoli. But there's not very many, there's not much eye candy or decor. Man just makes a ton of Roves. I can't believe it. He's back up to the 6 Tirade count, I'm pretty sure. Oh yeah, we're going higher than that now. But you can see that this is taxing a lot of what Shopkeeper Dog can make. The Tirades are pretty pricey. Maybe some could argue they're not pricey enough, but they are pretty expensive units. I don't think 9 o'clock will be staying up for much longer, especially if it's actually scouted. Shopdog, I don't think the Tirades actually showed him the Kagra there, so he doesn't see the creep spread, as we call it Kagra here. But I do think that the successive assaults have been pretty devastating. I think the Tirade would be a bit more... would probably be a little bit more compelling as far as like a hit and run unit or like a harassment unit. It kind of works in this way. You see that like in the early stages of the game before they get to so many, that Shopdog had to use a lot of his other ground army units to try to distract for the Tirades. And then the Tirades came in and did their initial bout of damage. So I feel like stuff like that's pretty neat conceptually, but they're probably doing too much damage. But that's all right. Fair and balanced race, guys. 12 Tirades. I've never seen something so terrifying. Wait. Well, we don't need to wait. He's going with the 12 Tirades. Well, the Bactyls could help out, to be honest. I think he needs, like, Viths or something. And he's got a lot of minerals. All right, he's thinking about it. Now he's going to make a lot of Skithra cores. So those will deal some splash damage. He really still could make so many more mineral units. I guess he probably doesn't want to make claws, but they at least shoot up. Some of these Kagrints are never morphed. That's a problem. Ground army coming on in. The Tetzora is slashing away at Robes. No real concern there. But we are still at 12 tirades, and I think there are more where that came from. Oh, yeah, baby. 20 tirades, baby. You thought he was roving here. Instead, he gave you something to think about. He chewed you out, spat you out. GG has to be called at that point, and Shopkeeper Dog has won a game with Roves and Tirades alone. I just want to point out that the passive that the Tirade has when it lands, it embeds itself into the ground and then becomes able to target many things, is called Excoriation Assembly. I think that's pretty nifty. We're going to give it the magical treatment, and eventually when we figure out why my initial attempt at programming that failed, but that is a GG right there. That's pretty baller. So GG, and my apologies to Cannoli. He does win some games versus Shopkeeper Dog's Ascozy, but I think it's probably when Shopkeeper Dog decides to be very fancy. Anyway, we'll see more from those two pretty soon. GG. Oh shit. Guys, this... Oh, never mind. It's not as... It doesn't work as well as I thought it did at an initial glance. All right. So we've done a cast of some Ascozy matches, which is an Ascozy match, which is pretty nifty. We can stay with Cannoli for a little bit here. Oh, we're even staying with Air Gap, apparently. Space Soda. Cosmojuice. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for some Cosmonarchy Zerg versus Zerg. And Cannoli is here in the top left of Air Gap, a map he made. He is the Pumpkin Zerg. And in the bottom right, we have... I'm just going to call him Grass Eater. To be honest, it could be somebody else trying out a new name. But anytime I see a name that doesn't match a player and they're playing Zerg and they have low APM, I assume it's Grass Eater. So he is the Snow Zerg in the bottom right. And he will be going for a Kagrant opener, while Cannoli seems to be doing the same thing just a little bit later. So thanks for checking out Cosmonarchy. I love the Zerg mirror in Cosmonarchy. I think it's pretty fun. There was a period of time where some top Zergs were complaining about the rush to the Tetzora core, and I think those days are kind of past us, but to be honest, I haven't seen too much top-level ZVZ recently. I think the most active players in that matchup at the top level were Krakatoa and Arbuz most recently, and they were the only ones who were really playing against each other. Hamster wasn't supremely active, so I don't actually know if the Teth was really all that it was cracked up to be, but we've seen some adjustments in general, and I don't know that they're going to be the pièce de résistance that everybody seems to think that they are. But anyway, that being said, I do like a ZVZ. I do like a little bit of a Zerg versus Zerg. And, you know, at the same time, yeah, I knew that was coming. I could see that coming a mile away. At the same time, in my opinion, there's a, like, you don't see the mirrors, you won't see the mirrors as often because we just added a 4th race. But I don't know. There's something about it that I think is still pretty fun to look at. Now, speaking of fun to look at, I don't think this is going to be enough to kill this. Oh, it's going to be tight. With the Drolats, I might have just barely pushed it over the edge, yeah. But hey, regression allows you to get your worker back after the structure, as long as it's not actively trying to mutate, so that's pretty nifty. You know, sure, he wasted 50 minerals, but he did send a message. And now we've got 7 pairs of Zethar cores being made. The pool on the other side finishes up. We got that second Larvosk on the way, faster than his opponent, and instead of going for extra production himself, Grass Eater is going to expand and make himself a Vornath Pond, an upgraded pool. Well, there's definitely way more Zeths for Grass Eater than there are going to be for Sir Cannoli. And we don't have Quas coming, it's only Zeths. So this could potentially be a problem. He has no defenses. At the very least, he's moving out on the map, and so he will catch these Zethar cores initially. Oh, some of them weren't on attack move there, but that was a brutal surround after that. Oof. Oof. Deadly. Let's see. He's made 2 pairs of Quas. He's made a couple pairs of Zeths now. And actually, I think Grass Eater, I don't know if that was intentional or not, he ended up moving to the left of the ramp. That gives him some more time to make some Quas. And he was targeting the egg instead of the Larvosk. He will kill the Larvosk, so that's pretty big. But Drolets are out. He's trying to do what he can to kill things. He only ends up killing Zeths. Could have killed some more, workers in that situation, try to get more efficiency out. All things considered, Cannoli kind of got off lucky. Got off easy on that attack. 3 Droleth lead for him, and he remorphs his Larvosk. So that's an expensive amount of Vespene lost, but he kept most of his workers. Well, I guess all of his workers, technically. He even got his scout back. Second Larvosk is coming for Grass Eater, and he's got the Hatch Expand, so that will be an advantage in terms of production for him. He proceeds to 18 Zeth running across map at 2 minutes. Yep, it's Grass. Makes the worst target selection. Yep, definitely Grass. Shopdog with some call-outs to Grass Eater in the chat. Yeah, all these VODs that you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching them on YouTube after the fact, are from a live stream. You can catch me live when I'm live. You'll see a little stream schedule in the Discord server if you join that. I guess I should probably post it on the YouTube community post or whatever, but I forget to do that all the time. Speaking of live, we do have a weekend wage coming up. You might see these homies in there. So check it out on Saturday, the 17th of January. And check out Cannoli charging in to attack this hatch. It is undefended right now. We got some Quas on the one side and Quas on the other. And actually, Cannoli can win this fight if he targets right. I say that. The Vorvs coming in will frustrate that positioning quite a bit. I do like the cycle back, though. I think that using that little Adrenal Frenzy passive for the Quas is pretty nifty. So, almost instantaneous punish there. And the Calcure Lake coming for Grass Eater. He wants to get up to some more shindigs, if possible. Cannoli sending his idle workers over to harvest. So they've actually got pretty similar timings on their expansions after all, but Grass Eater did just make a ton of workers. Scouting with a Vorvercore. Gets bopped by Quas. Yeah, if Grass Eater ends up getting a lot of Lyrilisks out, then he will definitely take an advantage in the fight. Lyrilisks own Quasilisks. It's pretty one-sided. As long as the numbers are relatively even, of course. But Lyrilisks are also way more expensive, so it is kind of what you would expect. No extra tech coming for Cannoli, however. He's got a lot of minerals. Watching for the other alternate avenues into the base. He's got 1 Quas up here as well. I like it. You know, Cannoli made the map. He definitely knows where to position his units. Sort of 3 lanes there. Actually steps them forward a little bit. It's funny, we've got Zets on the other side. Grass Eater also thinking the same thing. That's pretty cute. And the Calcure Lake is on the way for Cannoli. And he's going to make some Nathra cores. Well, this is exactly what I would predict happens, you know? Nathra cores and turn into Calculisks. Cannoli definitely likes the Calc. And Grass Eater just making some Lyrilisks. A little bit more straightforward for him. He likes his ground units. Oh my god, he's actually bypassed the enemy scouting by, like, sort of incidentally, but now the Lyrilisks are available. They are going to be able to run down the Quas. Some of his own Lyras are on the way, and it looks like he's invested into 11 Lyras rather than invest in the Calcs, because he's worried about the Lyrilisks anti-air capabilities, which does make some sense. It's funny that it's a upgraded pool war here. No Den, no Shroud for either player. Just the Calcure Lake. A little bit of a catch on these Quas. You don't really want these units to go down for free, but, you know, maybe you can take away some of the Vorvs or something. Doesn't look like it's quite going to be a possibility there for Cannoli. Third base on the way now for Grass Eater as he takes 6 o'clock. A lot more Quads where that came from, and I think now we can get those Calculusks out. Indeed, 3 of them are finished and ready to go. Drolet's moving over towards 6 o'clock in the process, and 10 worker lead for Grass Eater. I don't like his composition necessarily more than Cannoli's, and I really don't like his angle of attack. He is struggling to get his army to actually attack all at the same time, so that's definitely a problem. Calculus count isn't too deadly right now, but we are going to need to see some anti-air defenses crop up around this position. Oh, he's got Larvosks everywhere, too. Pretty easy for Cannoli to just snipe stuff. Up over 1,000 minerals. Yep, it's Cannoli. Yeah, static defense coming up at 6 o'clock, but he needs to do it in a few other spots. He's only got 1 Spraith over here in the main and the natural mineral lines, but... Shroud coming. As long as he can actually keep mining going over here at 6, and pretty instantaneous morph in the Spraiths, yeah, he might be okay. Again, 5 Calcs isn't really the end of the world. There's a lot of Lyras, though. We're up to 27 of the things. Oh, he's going to just try to run it. Now, they're kind of bruised. There's 1 Spraith here. He's got some Quas on standby. Oh, the workers, no. He tries to burrow them. They still take the damage, though. And Cannoli knows that he's targeting the hatch so he can kill all the workers that were there. Instantaneously makes it into an even game in terms of worker count. And he does lose all of the Calcs. And most of the Naths in the process. Revealing that the 6 o'clock has been taken is pretty good, actually, because Grass Eater should be able to take that, you know, to be relatively sure that there's no other base on the map. He's got Zets in all corners, basically. He's going to try to go over to the top right, but there's actually no ground path there, to my knowledge. No. He won't see Kagris, so that's actually still information in ZVZ. That's pretty good. Now, the Lyrilisks are going to try to bounce on each other. This is a pretty abysmal angle to try to come through. Should be a better fight for Grass Eater. Shroud is done for him as well, but he's not making anything behind this. Cannoli's still waiting for his own Shroud to pop so he can bank money a little bit more justifiably. And we've got 11 Lakes, which is a great choice overall, but, you know, you're losing out on a lot of your chaff. Fighting before your power spike. It wouldn't surprise me if Cannoli makes a couple Zoryus before he makes any Lakes. Man. Kind of emerging from his base on multiple fronts. Cannoli going to charge the natural. There's nothing here to defend it. The Lakes are done, but they need to get into position ASAP. And, well, they're not even burrowed at 6, so this is going to be a problem for sure. Let's see what Grass Eater's response time is like. Lyrilisks running right into his natural to start heckling him. He still isn't burrowing. The Lake is over here. He's actually walking away from his 6 o'clock base as his army barely catches up with the attack force into the natural. So he's going to end up losing that third. And all the workers there. Grass Eater doing his best to try to clean this up, but all the workers going down to, oh my god, below 20 workers. Poor Grass. The struggle is real. He's going to move back across the map. I think he kind of needs to trade down the enemy army so that Cannoli doesn't run away with this position. But he also, if he wants to go for a longer game, he needs to rebuild. And look, 5 Lyrilisks still burrowed in the natural. At any point, Cannoli can unburrow them. He considered it then and decided to wait. Cannoli's got some tactics to him, man. He's got some ideas for sure. I'm not sure what the Ovoleths are for yet. I don't know if he wants to bring them for detection or... If he wants, yeah, obviously the Lakes exist as an option, but he made many, so I wonder if he's planning on something in particular. Could have just been an overbuild, or could have been intentional. Trying to push his opponent back with the Lyras. If the Lakes can do the trick here, they're not even with the army. What is Grass doing? If the Lakers can move across the map and make matters, take matters into their own hands, then we can be in a very different situation here, where Grass has a containment up and he can reset the expansions on the map. But Cannoli has such a huge bank, and he's going to go ahead and make more calcs. And after a certain point, you just don't have anything there to defend. You know, he's got one Spraith in each base. He's not mining gas. He's barely mining minerals. And the Lyrilisks can strike at pretty much any time. Yeah, Avaleth's just kind of watching out for stuff. In the process, though, coming on in, the Lake is trying to burrow right in the front. There's plenty of detection. The Calculisks are out. Oh, the Calculisks are even coming in from the main base where they were gestating. We got Zoryus debuffing each other. The Lakers are going to try to have a field day with all of that, with extra armor rend helping them out, but it's not going to be enough. The circuits only barely get cracked, and that has to be GG surely. And there it is. There's the call as the last Lakers falls. It's a wrap. Cannoli winning the game with 1,000 minerals in the bank. His Lyrilisks unborrowed in the natural as well, just adding insult to injury, and that is a ZVZ. I like a good ZVZ, and that was a pretty good one. I dig it. I'm a fan. GG. All right. I'm going to go ahead and take a moment to update the overlay here. We're changing players entirely. What up, Lucy? Poggers indeed. Holy shit, we got green eggs in here. We got Brass Easter. Oh my god. All right. I am looking forward to this next set of matches. We have a 2-game set here that I'm going to cast. Maybe I'll do another one, depending on how it ends. But I had 2 PvPs between Aoud and Hitamup. Speaking of mirrors. I'll just go ahead and show the scores. And it's on a new map that I made. A port, adaptation, redux of Sideshow called Smoke Show. I like that. Ladies and gentlemen, Pronogo is back to bring you some Cosmonarchy. We have an interesting set of matches here for you. We got 2 games between Hit 'em Up and Aoud 64 under the ID Protoss Sim Classic. He is the Blood Protoss going for a Gateway Open, and also going for a Gateway Open but in a different orientation is Hit 'em Up, the Ultramarine Protoss. And we are on a map called Smoke Show, which is a port of Sideshow. You might recognize the layout if you've been here long enough. But it's an interesting one. It's a pretty interesting one. Now, cutely enough here, it looks like the initial pathway does send you to the generators. That's probably something I'm going to see if I can tweak later. They might have also... I'm not actually sure where they right-clicked. I'll have to check that in the second game. But overall, it's a map that doesn't feature too many changes. The main one is that this middle path is blocked. So... that might need to change. Maybe we block one of the other passageways or whatever. But overall, it's I think it'll be an interesting matchup. And these two players are always pretty high level and pretty good players, top players. Right now, Ayud is ranked above Hit 'em Up, but Ayud has done that mostly off the back of his Terran play. He has played all the other races, well, with the exception of the Escozi, I guess. He's played, Protoss. He's played Zerg. And he's done all right in terms of weekend wage performances here. Not quite catching it. There you go. A little bit of micro goes a long way. And it looks like the Legionnaire on both sides. Both players playing Legionnaire. I dig it. Embassy coming up here for Hit 'em Up. But it's a Rogue Gallery follow-up for Ayud. He's playing under the name Protoss Sim, but he doesn't want to have a lattice? What's this guy all about anyway? I do think that Legionnaires are a pretty good counter to the Kabbalist, because its main strength of being able to port in and snipe stuff is a lot harder to pull off. And actually, Hit 'em Up is preempting the Kabbalist with the Embassy. He can make a witness pretty early on. And it's pretty reasonable, right? It's similar to the Dark Templar, OBS, strats, and builds like 3-Gate Observer or whatever in Starcraft 1. It's kind of similar there, where you're jockeying for positioning. But the Kabbalist will also be a scout. And look at the Legionnaire's airtight wall over here. Technically, the Kabbalist could try to come over here and then teleport to this guy and hope that he teleports on the bottom. Or if anybody's on the other side of the wall, he can port to that and then come in. But that's risky business when there's 7 Legionnaires already done. They can just tag you and teleport to you. Anytime the Legionnaire debuffs an enemy with its attack, all other Legionnaires that are allied to it, which includes if you were playing 2v2 or whatever with double Protoss, can teleport to the target, as long as they're within 3 range or so. And there's the witness, perfect timing. It doesn't pull the guy back, but I would have loved if he typed the message sorry, we're closed. Scribe can't get out to expand either. This one's self-inflicted. I take no credit for it. So the Nexus will go down here pretty soon, and I do think that Hit 'em Up is going to have a little bit of an economic worry to worry about, considering he's got a sizable army in terms of numbers, but in terms of quality, it's not as good. And Ayud isn't that much of a slouch in terms of the quantity either. But Hit 'em Up adds double lattice and goes for manifolds. He put himself behind a little bit with that Embassy, but obviously it was, for the witness. And if he's not careful, oh man. Hit 'em Up is probably on hold position here, which is a really smart move. The Ecclesiasts are the only thing that would give it away that there's a witness there, unless, Hit 'em Up actually showed it earlier, and it looks like the witness was sighted there early as well. So he's got double witness. So one of them is watching over here, sees the Nexus. Yeah, Hit 'em Up's actually in a fine position. I mean, obviously he's not going to be as well kitted out when it comes to the economy, but that's not a problem for him. He is not planning on that being his issue. He's going to station the witness with the Warden, and that will shoot away the Kabbalist. The other witness is just following the army, and his army is just going to go ahead and catch him. He's probably going to, if I had to guess, set up a concave or whatever, but he could even just decide to park a bunch of the Legionnaires behind the minerals and then sneak attack him. He's got the Scribe out just in case, his opponent sees him. But I don't believe that Hit 'em Up is planning to expand this game. I think this is going to be a one-base attack. Army count growing in favor of the Ultramarine Protoss. This is, by the way, this is Hit 'em Up, champion of Acropolis 3 against Ayud, the runners-up of Acropolis 3. Well, looks like he will actually have a chance to put down an Nexus. Oh no, Ayud, you've forgotten about the power generators in the middle of the map. Hit 'em up might take this opportunity to snipe on a few units. And indeed, Ecclesius goes down. Zealot just being tickled here. Nexus does indeed go down. The Kabbalist is standing by, ready to move in. There's already the preempt, as mentioned here. I believe there's a witness. Oh, there might not be a witness anymore. I'm not quite sure where the witness went. It might have been added to the control group. Ayud, my guy. You just lost your Kabbalist. So no counter pressure there from our blood red Protoss. And the Zealots are not holding up as well as you would like when all the manifolds are here to boost the armor pen. The Legionnaires actually do pretty well against them. Double Ardent, but it's not enough. Did not come online fast enough, and Ayud just got outmaneuvered by Hit 'em Up. That's pretty legit. That's pretty legit. I actually really, I think that like Hit 'em Up talks about how he just makes unit win game. And to an extent, there's truth to what he did there. But I actually believe very strongly that that game showed that he understood what Ayud would try to do. And it's on Ayud to attempt some kind of response, to attempt some kind of change or fix or modification to his build order. So let's see what happens in our second match. And Ayud seems to not be too happy about the loss. Admittedly, he did put his Ardents in his natural instead of maybe up here where he might have been able to put some kind of change up together, but I think he was probably dead no matter what. Now, in the bottom right, we do have Hit 'em Up. He is our Glacial Protoss. And in the top left, once again, as the Blood Protoss, it is Ayud. So we will see same positions, but, you know, Ayud doesn't like Mirror. He said that in the opening stages of that last game. I can't believe you don't like Mirror. Come on now. And, of course, Hit 'em Up is happy to rock and roll. It looks like this has actually been preset. It didn't take very long for Ayud to adjust his positions, his mouse clicks. Lattice. So it will be a double lattice straight from the get-go. We'll see if Hit 'em Up can do it. Now he's just going to go ahead and right-click generally, and we'll see if that does carry him to where, you know, the same path as before. He might need to adjust his worker scout path again. Again, something that, you know, the map itself will change. The map is the easiest thing to adjust. It's not really that big of a deal. Though you are seeing why you don't see like destructible rock style things happen very often, because the game is like, the quickest path is through these rocks, and it's like, jeez. Though he doesn't really lose that much time, even when it goes all the way over there. It's like a maybe 1 second difference. So, not a huge deal. The Vassal is already leaving the building. The Scribe will scout it, or should. No, oh yeah, it comes down to see it. So, you know, he can make the Dracodon, no big deal. It looks like he had already preempted that with a Dracodon. And it is going to be Sims afterwards, so at least one Sim here. He's building a Simulacrum against the Protoss Sim player. I can't believe it. Down it goes. So it will be 2-gate Rogue Gallery. Gallery gate. Vassal will narrowly stay alive. Once again, going for that Kabbalist. The Scribe comes into Rescout, which is an interesting, like, 1-2 thing. I don't know if he was just going to make a Vassal anyway. I'm not really sure if he needed to send out the Scribe, but there must have been some funny hit-em-up plan there. And goes right back for the Embassy here. Not a blind one this time around, by the way. I guess maybe last time he did scout in time to see the gallery, so. One thing that I saw Nebline do against Jack Yelansky is not... He went Rogue Gallery, but he didn't make a Kabbalist. And I think versus Protoss, if you go this Rogue Gallery build, and it looks like you're going to make a Kabbalist, and then you just don't, and you make Vagrants instead, or you build it to make your opponent build the Embassy, and then you expand, or something like that, right? There could be mind games that you layer in there that would be really interesting. Lattice in a Grand Library. We'll see if Hit 'em Up can make this work. It's very different structures than before, and the Vassal coming in to do some heckling. Unlikely to get a kill here. Yeah, needed a couple more shots. Unfortunate. So there's the Witness. A couple manifolds coming. That will improve the DPS of the Simulacrum. I can't get in. Something's stopping me. I don't know if Ayud knows that trick, but he could have ported onto the manifold. It's a little bit less scary to do that. Let's see. It would turn into 60 damage. So if you do that twice to a manifold, if you have 2 Kabbalists and you do that to a manifold, you can one-shot them. You two-shot them. But who wants to make 2 Kabbalists at this early into the game? Come on now. Ain't nobody. Witness is out here to try to heckle and push away the Kabbalist. Shout out to Rainarel for giving me an icon for the Kabbalist Warp Blade, by the way. Pretty nifty. We do have the Cantavis drop. The Storm drop is incoming here, as he uses the embassy for something else. And there's the Nexus. A little bit behind schedule versus what Ayud has. Alexander says, everybody likes the blood color. Yeah. Hard not to like it. I mean, doesn't it look pretty intimidating? I don't want to face a blood-colored enemy. Now, just you wait until you face a blood-colored blood summon. Alright. Envoy scooped up the Cantavis. You know what race Sunglow looks best on, Alexander? Protoss. Atreus. The Atreus is coming. This is prior to my buffing of the Atreus, by the way. I think the Storm drop could go off pretty well. Usually Ayud is good at responding to drops. He does have a bunch of units already ready, including a Charlatan. Here we go. Let's see what the reaction is from Ayud. Oof. 4 workers dead. It is a pretty quick reaction, all things considered. 1 scribe went down super fast because of the damage dealt to it by the vassal earlier. A little bit disappointed that I bigged him up and then he just allowed the unload and the cast to happen before a reaction. But as soon as he got the notification that he was under attack, he did respond really quickly. Just not as much mini-mass. Not as much mini-map awareness. Interesting that there's a pair of vassals now leaving the building. I'm guessing he just wants to scout the whole enemy without bothering to use his witness in case the Kabbalist continues to heckle him and he doesn't want to make a new one right now. He did make a single artisan. He's harvesting some resources from the mineral-only expansion. There's another factor or feature of this map. We've got mineral-only thirds, and then you've got 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock with the double ridge. And then there are double gas spaces available in the center. I don't think very many people will bother taking those. And then another set of mineral-only bases in the corner. So the vassals kind of pull his opponent out of initial sync, but there's already an army of Ecclesias Vagrant and a Matrix reinforcing the position at the natural. The mineral-only expansion over here is pretty neat. I don't know how many people will bother taking it. It's technically a new addition. It wasn't in the original schematic, shall we say. I can already tell you that Krankendow will get Droleth stuck here and then complain, so I should probably add some unbuildable terrain there, unpathable terrain there. Krankendow is really talented at finding stuck spots for units. Witness flying over the middle of the map. Very difficult to take a base like 12 or 6 after the initial push is taken care of. Like, if these power generators go down, you are asking for it. But, you know, it's 4 different structures, and it will give you a pretty heavy warning there. The Witness is continuing to establish some information control. Got more lattices coming up. There's a lot of vassals being made, interestingly enough, by Ayud. A later vassal timing doesn't seem that common, but the Kabbalah scouted the Artisan, so that's clearly the target here. Looks like a third base on the way for Hit 'em Up. Will be doing so faster than his opponent. Down goes the Artisan. Kind of locked into its harvesting. Ooh, and the Kabbalist also snipes the worker who was trying to make a Nexus. That's pretty good. Warden over here. He canceled that a few times. I'm not really sure why. I think he might have been making sure that like it wasn't going to block his harvesting or something. More witnesses being made. Amaranths being added. Interesting. So I do think that what we're missing, one of the things that we might be missing right here is like, I look at this army from Aoud, and I feel like Aurora detonations going off on top of them would really heavily hurt the sort of crowding of infantry units, right? The Protoss infantry, the Rangers, if you will, struggle versus splash damage. Auroras are pretty cheap to mass produce if you make a lot of them. Not that much splash damage over here. In fact, the Cantavis must still be in the Envoy. Yeah, there's no splash damage, in fact, for the army, so far as I can see. A couple idols, okay. Yeah, not really anything frontal-oriented. So the generators are going to go down faster than we thought initially. Margus boosting armor pen is pretty big versus Protoss armies, so happy to see that if you're on Aoud's side here. Witness will see a couple of units being moved through, and I think it will actually scout that the generators are being broken up. So this is advanced warning for Hit 'em Up that when he sees the army on this side, they can more easily flank towards the other side. Sideshow was always a map where you tried to go around the sides as opposed to the middle of the map, because it gets really, really clustered up, and these bridges are going to be conduits of death, that's for sure. But Smoke Show is a little bit more open when it comes to big frontal attacks like this. Let's see, because the Vassals came in, again, only the idols here for splash damage. We got Charlatans as well, multiplying a lot of the damage that's being dealt. The Golems are taking a long time to die. The Heralds are keeping everything alive as well, but this right flank is falling for Hit 'em Up. His units on the east are struggling to keep up. On the west, we've got the Atreus is still going. The Cantavis drop is big. Looks like he's still able to get some pretty good damage there. His kill count racking up to 11, 14 before he expires. And it looks like maybe Aoud's army will be routed eventually. The Manifolds are offering so much armor penetration here. Hit 'em Up has some reinforcements coming in. They don't have any armor pen boosts over here to deal with those Zealots, and the Ecclesias are keeping everything alive in the process. A single Herald for Aoud, providing so much value right now, although he's not really targeting the right things. But every time a unit dies around the Herald, it speeds the whole Protoss army up. Obviously cares about allies versus enemies there, so every time a unit dies around Aoud's army, that's what ends up happening. Nothing was mining at the mineral-only third this entire time for Hit 'em Up, so it's not even like he got a big eco boost from his worker lead that he had there. He's going to drop an Ardent Authority behind it. It's a prolonged fight, as PvP fights typically are. Uh-oh. Witnesses take some damage. He doesn't have anything to deal with the crowds of Gateway and Rogue Gallery units. He needs to try to outlast him with things like Golems, Atreuses, Amaranths. His own Heralds have been destroyed, though, and he's really going to be lacking a lot. He's got Ardents coming for the splash damage from the Positron. Yeah, that's kind of what I expected. If he had a lot of Cantavis, I think Storm would have helped change that fight as well. But I called out even before the fight, and I haven't watched this beforehand, that you look at the army comp, you need some splash, and I think Auroras are underutilized for factors such as that, but Hit 'em Up definitely down a little bit. Now, he's bought enough time with his army movement and his workers evacuating that even though there's a base taken at 9 o'clock, which is a gas base for Aoud, Hit 'em Up does still have a lot of production, and he's got his Ardent Authorities up. So if there's another 30 seconds before Aoud commits, we could see some pretty good units be made. Unitary Union on the way. Positron coming. I think you need like 6 Positrons here to really change this attack, though. Unless you can really keep those 2 Positrons alive for a long time. You need to focus down the Herald, in my opinion, but there's 4 of them now. I don't know if that's going to be possible. Warden to help a little bit with DPS. Making a lot of Heralds of his own. Still no extra Cantavis for Storm. He did slow down the economy of Aoud a lot. So this extra base is going to take a while to start paying for itself when you factor in all the static defense that was invested. But it will eventually do so. And no Scribe survived the evacuation. The Cabalist hunted them all down. Still finding value despite the initial block. So we're going to be up to 4 Positrons before any attack occurs. Aoud's still kind of just sharking around, waiting for Hit 'em Up to leave the base right now. Canvassing everywhere to make sure that there are no other expansions taken by Hit 'em Up himself. Clarion on the way, I love it. I think anything that can allow you to keep your more vulnerable units alive for longer. Critically, just trying to outlast the opponent is going to be a big deal for Hit 'em Up's army. But we have an Asiliant coming. We have a Synthetic Synod starting, a tier 4 structure for the Protoss. I do think that this points towards Aoud taking the game. Obviously, he has that extra base that started to develop. He's getting Vespene from it. Well, from the Ridge. He actually isn't actively harvesting from the Geyser. That's a thing he may not notice immediately. Somebody asks, requesting me to talk about the Herald. So the Herald debuffs enemies when it attacks, and those enemies become beacons of shield steel for anybody that targets them. So you can, if this Herald attacks, you know, an enemy Zealot or Golem, then anything that attacks that Zealot or Golem will be getting shields back, as if they were being healed by an Ecclesiast, for example. The other ability for the Herald is that when an ally dies around them, they get Vengeance, which is the movement speed passive. And when they themselves die, they convert enemy corpses into attack speed. So, pretty important unit, but not a whole lot of corpses here for Hit 'em Up to benefit from. His Positrons are doing a lot of damage, but they're not breaking through anything. And it looks like everything has evaporated here very quickly for Hit 'em Up. His Positrons actually stopped attacking for some time there. I think he was trying to focus down the Heralds, but it was not to be. He just doesn't have enough armor penetration. His manifolds were all down here instead of more centralized in the fight, and that will be a wrap on the army immediately. The Clarion was there to try to keep the shields going, but it was insufficient as well. And that should be the game. The Clarion links all allies. Well, the Grand Library sucks, GG. Hit 'em Up actually type GG. That's surprising. The Clarion was the floating unit there. It's a detector that also links allies with the Phase Link passive that splits incoming shield damage. A portion of it will be spread across everybody that's linked. So a pretty powerful aura for defensive purposes, but it's sort of like a Protoss equivalent to the Antseal, but even more powerful. Definitely something that we could see more of, I think, because it is one of those units that doesn't get to see enough screen time. But at the end of the day, there wasn't really that much there for Hit 'em Up to augment with that passive. It was something that Aoud just had his number when it came to the mathematics of it. GG. That was a fun little series on Smoke Show. I can't really tell you if the map is good or not, but, you know, it's interesting. It's interesting. All right. Now, I think... there are a couple of other replays that I need to take a look at here, that I was planning on taking a look at here. I don't know if we have the real Elvis Presley in the Discord server. Somehow I doubt it. What do you guys think? Okay, so I am looking for a replay. Must have been from the casual side. I don't know. I actually don't even know where it is. Let me see if I can scroll up enough to find it. Because Lord Dragon was telling me that the replay worked. I don't know. I might be a little bit dubious about it, but find out. When would that game have even been played? It might have technically been... No, Muskie plays a lot. I have no idea. Let's see. I can only imagine what will happen here because there was a 27-minute game between Lord Dragon and Muskie that that I was told I should cast. So here we are. I was able to find it off of Replay Kraken. No idea how this is gonna go. All right, let's do it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Pronago, and this is a Cosmonarchy cast 1v1 between two guys who are pretty new to the project overall. We've got Lord Dragon in the bottom right as the, I'm going to say Palatinate Purple, but it was Cordovan Terran, a dark color there. Muskie Husky in the top right is the Zafir. No, it's Ultramarine. It's never Zafir. Ultramarine Zerg. And this is a game that I was told I should cast between these two players, and I suppose there's no better time than to mention right here, right now, that we are looking for those interested in financially supporting Cosmonarchy to check out streamlabs.com/pronago, where you can donate towards a noob tournament. This newbie tournament will be held on the 20th of January, which is a Tuesday, which is a weird day to hold the tournament, I know, but that's the best day to do it, and it'll be for noobs. And Lord Dragon and Muskie Husky, I believe, do qualify, although we will confirm that today when watching them. So maybe you'll see them in the tournament as well. But if you want to help pay for the time that it takes to run such an event, you can do it at the Streamlabs link I mentioned, streamlabs.com/pronago, and we will see you there. Lord Dragon going to be going for a double Fulcrum. Whoa! And it's going to be a pool into Larvosk for Muskie Husky. Overall, not really the biggest surprise from the build orders, except for the fact that this second Fulcrum before the first is done is not super common. But we'll see what Lord Dragon has in store for us, you know what I mean? APMs are glorious double digits. I'm kind of impressed that Muskie has less APM than Lord Dragon. But hey, it's spiked up. Holy moly. Hope you guys are having a good day today. It's been an interesting set of games that I've casted in my current casting session here, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes after all of after everything is said and done, what the games actually look like. But yeah, typically I'll be casting these live on stream, twitch.tv/pronago, or of course this very YouTube channel, and it's a good way to see what's going on before the videos actually get cut up and put up as VODs. Plus, you get to ask me questions, you get to balance one in the chat, you get to do all kinds of things, so it's a good way to do it. Lord Dragon going to go ahead and set up some mines here. Tries to get one up on the ramp. Actually will be successful. Oh, he's held off at the pass. And gets a little bit of a slow off onto those Drolets, so a little bit of economic impact. But honestly, not a terrible Vulture little sortie there. Question is, was he doing anything behind it? And I don't know. I don't know if he was. I don't see a whole lot of money, but I mean, he did queue up 2 Masons and 2 Cyclops in each Fulcrum, so maybe that's where the money went. You know what I mean? Alexander in the chat saying this should be something special. Indeed. Indeed it should be. So, Zethrakors are leaving the building. Husky going for his Hydrith Den. And it looks like we will see a decent amount of production come out from him. He's going to get his 3rd Larvosk. A little bit risky to do that versus Terran if they drop you. Cyclops can just pop the Larvosks pretty quickly. I mean, they're just sitting duck targets for almost everything. And look at that. We'll have Lord Dragon adding a star pad here. Triple Fulk. I mean, there's no expansion timing for Lord Dragon coming up unless he cuts production for a little bit, which you can do. A little bit riskier to do as Terran, but Protosses have shown that through the art of the 3-gate open versus... 3-gate open versus Zerg. I was thinking of like Oya versus Ziki, for example. And they can just make 3 gateways and then, for a little bit, not bother doing anything. And then, ta-da, they're good to go. They've got their Nexus, and then they resume military production after that. The one Cyclops walk around does show that there's no expansion just yet. I love the little mine setups here. Obviously, easier to do when your opponent isn't getting in your face, but something that wouldn't be too bad to try and bandy about later on. You got some Cyclops marching up as well. Other mines not quite as impactful and successful. But still, getting a little bit of extra damage dealt is always good. Cyclops are a unit that can really fall flat when you're playing as a player with poor control, but Lord Dragon's doing all right here. And Muskie, he's refusing to engage. The Azir Corps should just get in the face. This indecision is costing him a lot of HP. And that's what I was expecting, honestly, is that the micro fight would happen and then he'd get up to like 800 minerals immediately. Now, we do have Hatchet. You know, the Hatch will be fine. It shouldn't die here. There's a lot of claws coming out to save it. We'll see what Husky can do to get himself out of this position. Right now, he's not quite battling through the fire and the flames. He's just succumbing to them. Using the pursuant ability of the Quas to pressure forward, and only one Cyclops stays alive. The Ministry on location. Both players idle in their production for now, but there are some Hydras out, so that Cyclops will be routed, indeed. More Cyclops where that came from, but not as many more as Lord Dragon could have. If he had spent all of his money earlier on, he would have been in a pretty good spot. He made the star pad and forgot about it. Only harvesting gas with 3 workers. The second worker on the ridge is not there, and that might be costing him a decent amount. Ooh. Well, honestly, this many Cyclops can and will kill the Hatch if given the opportunity. Let's see what Muskie can do to defend that, because right now he's not really doing anything to defend it. It will just go down. That's it. He has to evacuate the workers now. Made a lot of Izira cores to try to get in the face. I think Zets are a great choice if you can actually get them in there. Vorvs are better, but we don't have any upgraded nodes. Lord Dragon with 1,000 minerals in the bank. He's not going to be able to kill his opponent with this attack alone, so he is going to need to spend that money. A little bit of friendly fire here, but he does thin out the herd. Those 3 Izira cores could have helped. Could have been useful. And no re-expansion there for the Zerg player just yet. Man, he's got so many minerals, but not really spending them. Not too fond of that just yet. He likes clicking the buttons. He likes making the units move. It's very fun to make the units move in Cosmonarchy, but you do have to also make more units. And there you go. Did he just max out the queues? Yeah, he did. Just about. Still nothing from the star pad. Harvesting some Vespine from the natural. Yeah. We're down with no real tech here. So it's just a lot of Izira Core, Zethra Core on the way. The Hydras are trying to pressure, but Husky hasn't yet figured out the micro versus the Cyclops. And Hydras are microable versus them, but you really got to watch out there. Oh, dear. The fadeaway shots are really brutal. Ooh. Yeah, a lot of these units are going to end up going down pretty soon. Just a matter of time. Now, it's not that many Cyclops left, so there at least is a little bit of glimmer of hope for Muskie here. He's got 12 more Azira cores coming, which is great, if he can get them into the right spot. And honestly, the Cyclops production has fallen off a little bit here, because, you know, he queued up all those Cyclops, but he still only has 3 Folk. Zerg has not really been thwarted in terms of its, let's just say, its ability to produce a lot of units. Yeah, the hatch went down. That was it. This is a matter of survival. Husky did not make a single Droleth during this time, I don't think. And now he's upgrading his den. That's what I was looking for. Doesn't he recognize Bactylisks are pretty good versus the Cyclops comp? I mean, it's not really much of a comp when it's just 1 unit. Adding a 4th Fulcrum to expand that production. Lord Dragon is going to go ahead and repost that attack from the Azira Core, the scouting attempt. But the Zeth actually slips the net. If it gets down here to 4 o'clock, it can try to heckle that Mason pretty easily. It's only 1. It's only 1, Husky. You can take it. You can take it. Yeah, yeah. Delicious. Now, the Trojan is leaving with a 4 Cyclops drop. He's going to have to respond to that. He sends a pair of Cyclops down, but doesn't actually keep attacking it. Uh-oh. Well, this is an awkward fight for the Zerg to take. He doesn't have his Bactyls out yet. That Trojan hasn't been sent in just yet. And down will go all of those Cyclops. We don't have any defenses over here. So the Cyclops and the Trojan should be able to get something done here. Still no reaction, by the way. That Ministry could easily get canceled. Let's see. The Quas start scrambling over. The Droleth's evacuating. Only 4 of them going down so far. But no more military units are being made. So Husky's in a position where he's moving all the way across the map. He will finish off that base. Azira Core is actually causing a bit of a threat over here. If they had been microed right into the face of those Cyclops, they would have dealt more damage. But as of right now, it looks like that Skiback Scab is not likely to go on living. And not a single Bactylisk has been made. So this 4 Cyclops drop did a lot more damage than it really had any right to. Still, Husky has a chance to maybe push up, but not with this many Cyclops on the ramp. I don't think he's going to be able to do much other than a little bit of economic damage, perhaps. Lord Dragon not bothering to micro the Trojan. He lifts the Ministry immediately. That's more damage than I actually thought Husky would get in this situation. A little bit of a paintbrush of damage from the Cyclops, and Lord Dragon falls back. He's adding a treasury. Not quite sure what for. Hey, the Trojan still's got a lot of HP, but it doesn't look like Lord Dragon cares much about it. Back to harvesting Vespene here for Husky. Albeit not with all of the workers that he would want. Yeah, there you go. I don't quite know how this Trojan is still alive, to be honest. But it is still alive. It's even over a spot you can't bother killing it at. Cyclops pushing in. Looking a little dire here, I won't lie to you. I don't think Husky can actually get out versus this many Cyclops with the comp he's got. Losing out on the ability to make Bactyls really hurt him there earlier. The Cyclops leaving behind their delayed damage field that pops afterwards and deals splash. It's so hard when you don't get right on top of them and make them take some of their own damage. And when they get on top of the hatch like this, they can do some damage to the workers. They kill the eggs. Really, really awkward. Now, getting right on top like this, beautiful. This is exactly what Husky needs to do. And Lord Dragon was busy doing something else in the process, so he does end up failing the stutter step back, and that will be the end of his initial push. By the way, he's got 2 more Trojans full of Cyclops, and he's making a bunch more, but he has that Ministry still floated. He put the Treasury there instead, and his worker count is pretty dismal. Looks like this Trojan ended up, you know, sending in a couple of Cyclops, and this is actually going to get his opponent on standby to accept more drops. I don't know if that was the greatest choice. Maybe he can try to convince him that a lot more Cyclops are coming up the front. I don't know that that's actually going to quite work out. He's got these 2 Trojans waiting to send in, but there's so many units waiting to accept them, and they're not going to deal nearly as much damage as the first drop did. Yeah, in fact, he's actually aware of that. He should have sent this one in earlier anyway on a scout, but kind of tips his hand there, I think. Hydra IZ army may be able to push into the natural here of Lord Dragon. He's got some more Cyclops that just came out, but yeah, I don't think this army alone is going to be able to do it. Drop actually hits the natural. Looks like most of the Drollet's already evacuated. Yeah, they pulled away from the natural entirely. And the Iziricors did force a stutter step backwards, so they got some damage dealt. That hatch is very low. Yeah, I think that hatch is going down. Hey, some of the Drollet's coming in off the rally. Uh-oh. Hold on. You're not out of the woods yet, Husky. What are you doing? He's trying to save the hatch desperately. He'll do it at the cost of the Drollet if he has to, and it looks like Lord Dragon will allow it to stay alive. That is not what I thought would happen. Wow. 26 points of health. He's got more Cyclops coming. No static defense here. No circuits or anything. Army whittled down to almost nothing. Units inside the main base not being used. And after that heroic defense, the hatch will just be targeted down surely. It'll die to the egg shots. Yeah. Oh, man. Well, an Iziricor does finish. Trojan scoops up a couple Cyclops. Can be lifted inside the main base once the Zerg army breaks out. He just ends up unloading him. Yeah, he knows he needs him in the fight. That Trojan will still stay alive, however. Now, never mind. It does die. Single Hydra coming in out of nowhere. It is because it spawned out of this hatch, which maybe will tip Lord Dragon off, but he's got 3k minerals. I think he's got bigger problems right now. Needs to add more Fulcrums, and he's just gobbling up all of his Vespene. He still never added a third Ridge Miner, or a fourth Gas Miner, second Ridge Miner. And it hasn't been harvesting from this ridge for a long time. This Trojan's empty, but it'll at least draw up some of the units. I like Lord Dragon's attempts. I actually think, you know, if he were to participate in a newbie tournament, he would probably pick up a few wins. I'm going to be honest. But I would expect Jimmy to beat him. How do we handle that, guys? Well, 4 Cyclops. No, just 2 Cyclops coming in. No defenders except for this one Hydra. Not ideal. Man, Husky must be very tired of seeing the Cyclops. But at this point, he's got Bactyls. So, in a way, he should be happy to see Cyclops because the Bactylisk is going to deal with it. He doesn't even have to show the Bactyls there, actually. That's pretty good. Can let Lord Dragon exist in the ignorance of his capacity. Well, now the Trojan scouts it out, but... Yeah, if Lord Dragon actually capped his ridge, I think he'd be in a better spot, but... I don't know, man. Right now, I think we're pretty happy to see where it goes from here. What do you guys reckon? I reckon both these players are probably in the Class 4 category, and we should rejoice when we get more Class 4s active, to be honest. I think we need more players that are just at the lower end of the ladder. Another attempt at the Cyclops jump. The workers just never bothered going back. The workers just decided, nah, it's fine. Ski back will go down. Ay. It's a very slow way to finish this off, but I think we're approaching the end. Unless this army... I mean, there's not that many Bactyls here. The Cyclops could maybe punch through everything and just chase him down. They're all clumped up. Surely Husky knows that he's not supposed to clump them up like that. Oh, man, the Iziricors are getting some serious salvos, though. It might not matter, guys. It might not matter. Yeah, there goes all the front line. That's kind of expected there. And now the Bactyls are falling back. I think they need to start taking some retreating shots or they will just be killed. It kind of depends on Lord Dragon's micro, I guess. Yeah, he's getting right in their faces. And that's what I was thinking. Oh, baby! Yeah, he's self-owning here by chasing into his own explosions. Drakidans are like that. We saw that Newt versus Aeud game. Same concept applies. Bactyls obviously having More range than the Drak, but comparable enough. Some Zephyr cores just kind of running around and causing more splash damage to be dealt. Alright, back to mining inside his main base. Needs to get back to mining the gas in particular. I say that, though. He's got a lot of idle workers over here at the 11 o'clock. Oh, lobotomy mines. Like a suicide mission to mine everything up. Hold on, Lord Dragon is just pressed across the map. He might have had a killer move here. It turns out one was not enough. You needed to have a couple extra units there, like the vultures. Wait, hold on. Maybe you shouldn't have. Oh, dear. Everything's right on top of you. Oh, God. It's just too much. Brutal. Now, with that said, we've only got Cyclops coming. We have only got more Cyclops coming. He has slowly added more Fulcrums as he can afford them, but he finished his base, or landed that base, I guess, and then just never really sent any workers there to it. Mining is okay here. Husky taking a 4th. He was going to upgrade his pond, but decided against it. Instead, going for the ski back again. What's he saving the money for? All right. 6 Cyclops are going to come in here pretty soon. There's Wraiths everywhere to hunt down the Trojans. But they spread the damage out, so they didn't actually stop any unloading from happening. And now the army needs to cycle up there. Not everything, crucially, which is good. Husky getting those instincts in. Trying to cancel out the ski back. Bactyls were ruining the Cyclops earlier, so it's a smart target, but not sufficient damage. Gets 2 military unit kills, 1 worker kill, denies some mining time, and that is about it. Doesn't even stop the gas harvesting. And Iris on the way! Now we got some saturation happening at the 4 o'clock for our Terran player. He thought about making 10 o'clock. He decided against it, I guess. Oh, there it is. But then he ordered an Escagant, so now he can't. And then he forgot. Happens every time. Oh, he's got a lot of Cyclops still. That much is certainly true, but Vorvs are out now in good numbers, and I think that's a good night. Tier 2 will finish pretty soon here for the Zerg player, and I just don't think you can do much from this spot. That being, I guess the Terran is getting more Vespene income now, but not for long, as we can see. Oh boy, it has been a very interesting set of games. I think that much is for sure. But this one was this one was silly. Lord Dragon trying a monocomp with only Cyclops, did his best. This looks a lot closer than the match he played against 3 Crow, to be fair. Wait, the Ministry is still alive. Perhaps it can be repaired, and then we can harvest here. That was a pretty cute idea, to be honest. It resulted in the death of his ministry, but I liked the idea. Atris done over here at 10 o'clock. Just making him a Travel Nest, more Bactyls, more Hydras. Knocked out the 3rd base before it could really give too much over to Lord Dragon. All these minerals, and no Hurricanes. No scrapyard for Blackjacks. No nothing. No sieves. No ridge cap. No ridge mining, basically. He's mining with 1 out of 4 optimal workers on the ridges. Cyclops splash damage kills some of the Drolats coming in, which is pretty funny. But the Bactyls are able to run roughshod over this army. He's still making it look somewhat good, which is amazing, honestly. It's a bold choice to burrow, but that's okay. He did it. He cleared it. The Cyclops Menace is still going strong with 32 Cyclopses and counting. And he will be going for another drop. There's still no anti-surface defenses over here, which is amazing to me. The nest is done, but I don't see any units that correspond to it just yet. I'll be sure to call those out as time goes on. Trying to also make a committed effort to call out like behaviors and abilities and stuff where possible, where it makes sense, and help educate people who don't play as much or know as much about the project. But if anybody has questions, I can answer them in comments, of course. If I missed some unit that I didn't mention some unit that you saw. Spawn camping some of the tier 2 units is pretty rough there. Those are expensive. And we got a lot more Cyclops where that came from. How is this game still going, you may ask? And I don't exactly have an answer for you, but down will go this attempted drop. I think it definitely paid for itself. Scouted out another base in the process. It's just the problem is Lord Dragon never really... He didn't keep making Masons, right? And his main is depleted. His natural is barely saturated. He could pull workers there if he really needed to. And he does need to. Oh, the Convolusks are out. So these guys have a multi-attack, and their victims spawn brood spawn. Which, of course, your Cyclops are going to start attacking and deal damage to yourself. And that fight wasn't even close. That shows you the power of the Tier 2 Zerg for sure. The Vilgs didn't even need to get in action. But when they take damage, they release a mini Dark Swarm called Carapace Swarm in Cosmonarchy that absorbs some damage versus non-splash attacks. We got some Goliaths coming out. I don't think that's going to help you out, buddy. But it would have been a good mineral dump earlier on, perhaps. At this point, it's probably a wrap. He'll unload his last Cyclops. He'll make his final stand versus the Zerg Menace. And the Zerg doesn't have that much over here. You can see that the Vilgoricors take a very long time to die. And when they do die, they turn into Vilgaleths that convert nearby corpses into more brood spawn, which is just a nightmare for the Cyclops. And that's it. GG. Lord Dragon has been bested. A certified classic, a banger of a game. and Lord Dragon even says thanks. And asks for one more. They just keep playing. They can't stop playing. Husky's happy to say yes, sure. With a couple of dots. We'll just speed through. We'll get to the end of the replay. Mega stressful. All right. They scheduled their next play date. It's all good. But GG, Husky takes the game. And I mean, I just kind of assumed that Husky would be the more experienced player based on what I had seen. So that's why I sorted him as the favorite. But what a game. 27 minutes of madness in that particular match. Non-stop Cyclops aggression. GG's to all. I really wasn't expecting the game to go quite that way. So that's pretty fun. All right, I think the only other game that I have, like, the only other replay I have picked out in particular features Jack Yelangsky again, so we can take a look at that. I'm glad I let the replay play out a little bit. Some whack talks. I don't know what map this is. Oh, this must be Macroglia. We missed this map in the Biddy Birthday Bash. I don't think we saw it. That's true. You do have some missions. That is indeed the case. I'd probably, I would prefer to have that be its own separate stream for VOD purposes. But I guess I could release it, like cut it out of the stream or whatever. Let's see, it's already 6:15. It's probably going to be like 6:30 by the time this is done, maybe a bit later. So I probably do need to break so I can get dinner and stuff. After that, I have plans to work on my own missions, believe it or not. Yes, it is indeed Macroglia. Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. I bring you an interesting match here for sure, because we've got This Is Jimmy, the red Terran in the bottom left of Macroglia, a BDB map that I have not shown off on the channel yet. I might even be saying it wrong. It might be Macroglia. And we have Jack Yelansky in the top right. He's rocking and rolling as none other than the Ascozi. In the top right. I don't know why. I don't know why he randomly said Nerf toss there, but that's all right. He is, let's see. I actually don't know this color. Midnight green? Royal blue. I did think about royal blue, but it's a little... I haven't adjusted to guessing colors on the Ascozi, I will admit. So I hope you guys are excited about this matchup, because normally I would just say, yeah, Jack just runs circles around Jimmy all the time, but I haven't seen his Ascozi. I have no idea, and Jimmy has been playing lately. He's been trying to improve and stuff. He did say that the Ascozi have units that outrange the Phalanx, which is obviously not true. There's not a single unit that shoots even remotely close to it. You can know my strat based on the color or name. No. Honestly, I do try to read chat messages, even if I don't say them out loud when it comes to the game chat. I'm just like in the middle of talking about something else or whatever, and a chat message pops up. I usually read it. I just don't bother saying it. There are some times where I'm just in the middle of something real big, and they're typing a lot, and in that case, I just tune out. But if it's like one isolated random message or whatever, I don't typically mind too much. But I say all of that to say that I have a hard time reading Jack Yelansky's messages. He very regularly typos many things. And sometimes I think it's deliberate, and other times I'm not sure, and it's just it is just a mess. So, just wanted to say that. I have no idea what he was even trying to say there, to be honest. So, with that being said, he is going double radix, radix function radix, and he's adding a second function after that, and he is team building with it. He cut some workers in the process, so his pilgrim count isn't as high as it could be. But Jimmy, for one reason or another, also doesn't have as many workers as he should. So it kind of looks like, damn, the Ascozi's got like 4 production structures, and Jimmy's only got 1, and he's making a second one, and Ascozi's still making the 4th one, so whatever. But yeah, there were some cuts to make that happen. Jimmy's cuts, I don't think, were intentional. So, with regards to the Cyclops and Goliath moving across, yeah, the Rove ain't going to have much of a chance there. But at least it'll do some friendly splash damage. Got a couple of missionaries, we got a cardinal, we got a rove. Talk about those units as they get a little bit closer in. Hey, temples! So you can return to these. These are neutral town centers that also provide a power field. That's the difference between them and like a treasury or a ministry or whatever. So the cardinal, when it attacks, will heal allied units. And the missionary, when it takes damage, will heal itself. Same for the rove, for a small amount. But you can see the cardinals will keep getting a little bit of extra health. And you can tell that it takes a little bit more concentrated fire to put them down. Cyclops are not going to be able to do it themselves. And the Rove can also like jump to an ally to initiate its heal again. So there's a couple of things that you can do that are micro-intensive for ways to heal. Meanwhile, we got an object, we got another Rove. So yeah, clearly Jack is planning on an expansion. Got the ministry coming up as well. I like that you're expanding onto the faces, by the way. I will point out that they're off the tile grid. Tisk tisk. And I will also point out that this ramp is an abomination of BDB tiles. And we have some really weird looking tiles in general. So I don't know what quite is going on there, but that's okay. Those can be fixed. Maps are easy to fix. What is happening over here? No. No. Bad. Bad. No. Green Eggs in the chat, since I'm streaming all of these games, asks if rows are a type of beast. They are in Escozi, so that's why they have like unit responses and stuff. But they are some weird cross between a vehicle and not a vehicle. You would probably look at them and think they're a manned craft, like, you know, a manned vehicle. And sort of, like a helmed vehicle of sorts. This is a little bit painful for Jack that his object did not move across the map at the same pace as everybody else, but rather he didn't wait for it. So the army got cleaned up by the Cyclops splash, and the object wasn't there to try to sustain some of it. There's a reason why when you select the Rove, something that it says is our limbs for yours. Yeah. Ain't that pretty metal or what? Cypher coming up here for the tech for Jack. So the Cypher enables mimics from functions, or sorry, mimics from radixes, and the scepters from the function. It also allows you to build the Cosmoscope, which is your air production, and unlocks the ink blot at it. So we'll see how much of that Jack ends up leveraging. He must have made it for a reason. That reason might have been because I don't remember what it made. You know, that's a simple enough reason. Yeah, this is a little bit too much firepower for Jack to handle in a frontal fight. You can see he had a really good flank there, the Cardinal healing as much as it could, taking a lot of firepower to bring down. And when you're healing over everything and the Cyclops are still firing, you are getting sustained fire that is providing you with a lot of, like, you're forcing the enemy to do a lot of friendly splash damage. And unfortunately, for that that poor Goliath there, he did not target down the Cardinal, so there was no fight there, that's for sure. Scepter is out, so that's the first indication. We don't have any Mimics. Mimics are pretty good units because they consume corpses that they walk over and use for healing, and when an ally near them shoots, they clone the attack for full damage. So, you know, you use them with Vicars, or you use them with Scepters, or you know, they will do the same thing with like a melee attack or whatever as well. Although there's no like visual read for it exactly besides the overlay that always plays when the Mimic clones an attack. More production structures, nothing for the air just yet, just more functions and another radix. Good number of Cyclops here. I don't think that Jimmy's in any danger of losing to what Jack has being sent across the map, but it's pretty nifty nonetheless. And maybe he'll set up like an anchor or something for a more ironclad defense. I think Scozy has the hardest time playing versus Terran, as far as people have told me right now. Like, Protoss have ways to deal with them, but it usually involves like a bit of a turtley tech rush style. According to... It is all hearsay. I haven't seen this in action just yet. And it seems like Terran would have the easiest tools, because Ascozi are supposed to win by outmaneuvering their opponent, and then instead of army crunching the way Zerg does, or even Protoss sometimes does versus Terran, Ascozi are kind of meant to like target the infrastructure, target the workers, target the you know, things like sieves and add-ons and whatever else you might need. That's what the Ascozi are all about with their raids and their, you know, abilities and whatnot. Not really something that we see happen here just yet for Jack Yelansky. One thing I'm strongly considering is allowing the Pilgrims and the Proselytes to place like a ward similar to the Vulture Mine that is invisible, you know, arms itself and all that. But instead of trapping going on... Oh, this is a really bad fight for Jack. He does not have enough units over here. He has no splash damage with this army. Now, he is... When the Scepters kill something, they are converting its corpse into resources for Jack, but that was not very cost efficient. I think they killed like 2 units, so not ideal. Not ideal. And there is a third base coming for our Jimmy. Is Jimmy going to beat Jack? Is that going to happen? Are we going to see that in 2026? We got Jimmy beating Jack before GTA 6. I don't know, whatever memes people say now. Let's take a look at the map as well, because I'm interested in Macroglia overall. So it looks like this is the entrance into the third base. Kind of reminds me of Germination in a funny way. But this whole area over here is another big angle to fight and watch out for. I kind of get Pantheon vibes from this as well. Veek made a map called Pantheon a long time ago. Mimic running all the way back. Not very useful without an ally's attack to clone. There you go, you get to see it though. And indeed, the corpse is consumed. You get a portion of its resource costs is injected into your own bank. That's another thing that's supposed to be like a cost efficiency booster for the Ascozi, since frontal attacks are pretty poor for them. frontal fights are not exactly their forte. Unless you make a lot of tirades. Then you can do whatever you want for now. Already a pretty quick saturation for Jimmy, and he's going to have his pick of the litter when it comes to Vespine. Adding a Fulcrum in the third base is an interesting choice. Adding some more production back here as well. Shaman's on the way. Maybe a little bit late here. Scepters are back in action. The Mimic is just frontlining. It will go down. No more healing and taking corpses and cloning attacks. There's a cooldown on it equivalent to the attack speed of the unit that got cloned. Unfortunately, though, Jakulanski will not be able to do much here. He got maybe a little bit of an extra cash injection, but it wasn't much. And his gas is really quite starved right now. Still assembling the Archright in the moment. Adding the Gauntlet behind his base. This is very scenic. I like that. Alexander says Jimmy needs to attack. Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, these Skozi are basically the weakest they're going to get right now. Pilgrim waiting to drop. He's carrying a heavy load, you know, but he's waiting to drop it off at a landlock he himself will make. Behold new land, as they say. Pretty big production tabs for both players, which is exciting. We'll see some Vicars online now that the Gauntlet is finished. I'd love to see some Intendants as well. Indeed, they are coming. The splash damage will help out versus the Cyclops. The Scepters doing what they can to get some extra resources in the books. Anseal struggling. Anseal is actually going to stay alive because the Scepters are busy attacking everything else, which is pretty funny. I love that the Anseal's over here instead of like helping the army. In a roundabout way, it may have actually kept it alive because the Cyclops shots... The Manor BRB. I know it's not actually Manor. Jimmy's just kind of oblivious like that. Where he's just like, well, I'm just going to play games when I could just randomly be interrupted all the time. But, you know, I beat your army and then I say BRB. Ministry for base number 4 coming up for Jimmy at 9 o'clock. Meanwhile, another landlock, this one just by the third base, and of course one going up at 3. It's pretty big. Vicars and Scepters, shots being cloned. Intendants are here as well. Oh, the Intendant cloning off of the Mimic is huge here for the bounce damage to try to control this crowd. Oh, look at that. He's pulling the Scepter away with the Vicars. I love it. It's not quite enough to break this army, and we do have a Blackjack plus Cyclops drop over here inside the third base, which is not really up to full snuff yet. Mimics weren't able to consume too many corpses in the moment. There you go, get a couple. But as of right now, it definitely feels like the Shamans are keeping things alive for sure. And they never attacked the Blackjacks or anything with the Pilgrims. Oh dear. Well, he's just going to load up his army and send him right into the main base where there's no defenses or anything. Reinforcements coming in. Jakulanski might be in a lot of trouble here. He's got more Intendants. He's got more units than that. Even sending a Vicar off at him. I don't know, man. He cleans up the drop pretty easily. He does end up breaking the army. Behind that, we got Matadors. I actually don't think Matadors are super useful versus the Skozi, but maybe we will be proven wrong in that assumption. Can resume construction over there. Ooh. Man, there's so many Shamans. Atlas on the way for Jimmy. He's got 5,000 minerals almost and 1,000 gas. Let's see if his Matador army can be leveraged properly here. Intendants are helping out where they can. The Vicar count is pretty low, though. Trying to break down the Matador armor is going to be a strugglesome movement. Finally, an object arrives again. Could have been a little bit more aptly deployed at some point, I think, but look at that. Just trying to cycle back with the Mimics, and eventually they will be taken care of. A couple proselytes going down. We barely ever see those units. Sad. and the Mimic's falling away. Well, they could definitely force multiply versus the units here. We got the Vultures trying to come in, maybe spin down the mineral bank. I don't know if that was super advisable. It doesn't really end up doing much. There are some clerics in the field. The Trojan has never been cleaned up, by the way. Very funny. Where is it? Am I blind? I can't see it. Jimmy! No! No, Jimmy! Oh, you can't put your Atlas at your 4th base? What would Neblime say? I think he would just leave. I think he would leave the replay if he was casting this with me right now. Vickers providing a little bit of booming blast. Does some splash damage. The Shamans kind of heal through it, though. Mimics are trying to help out where they can. A lot of the heavy armor was all the way in the back, so... Again, Jack, not really harassing, not really doing much in the way of like a frontal fight. No drops, no air units, nothing like that. Certainly spending his resources more quickly than his opponent, but Jimmy's sending a bunch of mantles up. He's got his tier 2 coming online, and the Escosi tier 2 just isn't done yet, so what can Jack really do? Let's be real. This is looking rough, guys. 12 Phalanx. Sentinels coming up as well. He catches a few units in the middle. Jimmy's on a warpath. Jimmy's on the roll. I think he's about to finish this up and send me to dinner. Vickers trying to do what they can. The 1 Phalanx is just a telltale sign to come because there's way more than that on the way. Cataphract's coming. More mantles online soon. Jimmy's really slamming out the macro. This is despite not having enough resources or resource expenditure. The first multi-prong move from Jack so far might end up paying out some success. Sentinels are going to try to be repaired here, but it's not quite going to work out. Stealing away some of the resource costs to those Sentinels as well is Jack. He's got some more units in the middle. These Mimics are going to be fed to the Lions, it looks like. Down the Scepters will go, embedding into the ground before they inevitably fall. They steal a couple of Phalanx resources, though. And that's a wrap on that attack force. But look at that. That was way outsized impact. That's exactly what the Escosi are all about. Making a lot of Pilgrims. Still has a worker lead, producing a lot more functions. Can he really do something to defeat his opponent? I mean, he isn't tapping into all the units at his disposal. Let's be real. No tirades, no ink blots. Though I think those are kind of... they're a little bit rare as far as attempting to make use. Look at this army. Ink blots are a bit more based for detection, you know. Cestus up here. Mantles have been discovered. Violating the tier 1 principle. First mantle does go down. Vickers are pretty good at dealing with defensive structures, or structures in general, that's for sure. Intendants as well really help stack up the pain. Single Mimic. Again, just trying to go where the army isn't, right? That's what Jack is all about right now, as he does have less resources at his disposal. Top left has been found by a Pilgrim, of all things. Because you ask it. Oh, dear. Well, this army gets cleaned up, but it killed 2 mantles. It sowed some chaos and division, and now, look, Jack is moving across the map with some more stuff. Remember, the base count is actually even right now. And the Sentinels were not set up in time over here. So now, scrambling back, Jimmy's wondering how. I don't know quite what's confusing. No. Nerf Escosi. I mean, surely he doesn't lose. He's got phalanxes. Their whole unit identity is deploying phalanxes and artillery. Yeah, Jimmy, you might lose if you don't deploy your phalanxes and kill the enemy. And keep them in one spot. He's busy typing instead of deploying his phalanxes. Wow, look at that. He did it, and they all got annihilated. Now you leave some here, put some sentinels down, and move across the map. The next army, indeed, is going to start moving towards 9 o'clock. I mean, it's kind of a predictable motion here. A bunch of pilgrims only now saturating. Actually, I guess that this whole time it wasn't really even. Jimmy still had more resources. Not harvesting from his reservoir yet. Sentinels are coming up just in time. There's more cataphracts as well. I'm not really sure. Why is his army moving down there in the bottom right? He should just go on the counteroffensive. Yeah, I don't think this army actually breaks through what Jimmy has. The Katas are pretty damn good here. But can Jimmy win? Can he win? He certainly should. Behold new land. Yeah, I think he's done enough. There's Cosmoscopes on the way, but they're not going to be done soon enough. I think we might be wrapping this one up, boys. 13 Matadors are being made behind it. Very funny. He doesn't even need to deploy all of these phalanxes. He should. He should deploy them, but he doesn't need to. GG. Jakulenski will concede. It's cinematic. It's beautiful. It's Jimmy winning a game. Love you, Jimmy. GG. What a game. Well, that was a great match to end on. I think that sure was a match. That sure was silly. Somebody named Liquidator has been playing against Husky, and I don't know who they are, but that might be a good player to watch at some point. Oh, shit. Hit 'em up played Ascozi versus Arbiz's Zerg. I want to see how that matchup went. That was probably really good. I guess that'll have to be next time. Was that on the 13th? Yeah, that was at 8 in the morning, it looks like. Nerf Ascozi SMH. Jack played the least efficient style and still almost won versus Jimmy. That's... Alright. Anyway, that is a wrap on the stream, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out. We will be continuing to show match fund. Where is it? This one, streamlabs.com/Pernigo. You can pay me to run a newbie tournament. I highly recommend it. Once we cross like $50, I'll open up signups. So that way it's like, okay, yeah, we can make it happen. But just pointing that out there. So what is that? 21? Yeah, $21. And I open up signups. I also appreciate that Green Eggs was sitting here like, you can play Ascozi just by yourself. You can just build apostles and build Ascozi. He always looks at it. He always looks at Ascozi as something that you do when you are, you build up the Ascozi or any other race, any other thing that gets added for any other race. He filters it through the lens of, I'm gonna I'm gonna get it by building reclaimers, dude. Hell yeah. Pretty epic. Oh shit!
7 threes. Dev ASKOSI.
Oh shit.
6T2 Bio. RE.
R-E. That was a weird one. Thank you, Alexander. I mean, your wish is my command. I guess I'll be opening up those signups after all. Appreciate the cash money, dude.
Zerg here.
It's true. Chebecca does sound the Zerg alarm. You know what I should do for you guys? I should play you a very important sound effect I made yesterday.
Yeah, three is a very important number.
There you go. Just wanted to throw that in. At some point, we got to throw that in. I don't know if it'll be like a donation number or something, but when I'm ready for some more dollars, I know what to do. That's true. That's true. I do know what to do. I know to play The Fall. You should all play the Protoss campaign remade in Cosmonarchy done by 3Crow. It is The Fall. And I should probably get it added to the main repo at some point soon so people can experience it more easily. But for now, you can download it via the link in Discord. I guess I should probably link it some other way. All right, lads, it is time for me to go. GG's. I will be coming back to do some development tomorrow. I'll be doing a development stream. It'll be a clocked-in dev stream, so if you're donating at $12 a month or higher on our coffee page, you'll be able to watch me work on Ascozy some more. I will be working a little bit on them for the next little bit of time after I eat. And then that won't be streamed though. And then I will be doing some mission dev, also not streamed, but I will be doing some other stuff there as well. Thanks for joining us for the stream. GG's.